The next page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine, issue volume 10 from 1999, dated March 19th. It's showcasing upcoming Dreamcast games. The cover features anime-style artwork of 4 female characters. Game titles highlighted include Dynamite Deca 2, which was released internationally as Die Hard Arcade 2 or Dynamite Cop, Shenmue, Power Stone, Psychic Force 2012, Sega Rally 2, Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Sonic Adventure, and Derby Stallion. It also mentions Nanatsu no Hihokan, which translates to 7 Secret Mansions, and Sangokushi VI, which is Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6th. The cover also mentions White Illumination and the Naomi arcade system, indicating some games might be arcade ports or related to the Naomi hardware. This page is an advertisement for the latest Puyo Puyo game, highlighting its new features and modes. It mentions Puyo Puyo 4, Yonin de Puyo Puyo, localized as Puyo Puyon in the West, although it was never released outside of Japan. The advert showcases various gameplay modes with screenshots, including Thorough Puyo Puyo and Super Small Puyo Puyo, suggesting different styles of gameplay within the Puyo Puyo formula. It emphasizes the circus theme of the game and introduces new system support characters, claiming that even beginners can easily enjoy it. The advertisement promotes 4-player battles in the Everyone's Puyo Puyo mode. It boasts about the depth of gameplay, aiming for up to 108 chains. The tagline at the bottom reads, "The long-awaited latest Puyo Puyo." This page is an advertisement for Puyo Puyon on the Dreamcast. The advert features a large image of a Puyo character created from the word Puyo itself and text that states, "There is a limit even to chains." It highlights the game's release on Dreamcast and mentions its appearance at the Tokyo Game Show 99 Spring. Details about advanced ticket sales are provided, along with the game's price, compatibility with the Puyo Puyo Box arcade stick, and the Puru Puru Pack accessory, priced at 1,800 yen. This page is an advertisement for the off-road racing game Buggy Heat on Dreamcast. It emphasizes the wild and dynamic off-road driving experience with realistic physics, showing screenshots of buggies racing through varied terrains and environments. The page also promotes a special prize campaign for both Buggy Heat and Aero Dancing games. For Aero Dancing, prizes include 10 title logo MA1 jackets, 30 title logo caps, and 60 original QUO cards. For Buggy Heat, prizes are 20 Tricky logo t-shirts, 30 Tricky logo caps, and 50 original QUO cards. A total of 200 winners will be selected by lottery. To enter, you had to answer the survey postcard included in the game package, with application deadlines in June and July of 1999 for Aero Dancing and Buggy Heat respectively. The page features a woman holding a Dreamcast controller and wearing a Buggy Heat t-shirt and Gaily cap, alongside a toy buggy car, highlighting the game's branding and promotional items available as prizes. The game itself is described as having driver development features, where the AI drivers grow with the player's skill, and supports 12 players, visual memory, modem, and VGA. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Aero Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse, an aero flight simulation game. It is touted as the world's first acrobatic flight simulator, where you can master aerobatic flight and aim to be a team leader, with 360-degree views and freedom to fly anywhere on the map. The game boasts realistic gameplay using actual aircraft, including the T-4 Blue Impulse, and is supervised by former Air Self-Defense Force pilot Norihiro Fujisawa. The game supports 14 players and includes features like visual memory, modem support, and VGA compatibility. The advert also mentions recruitment for development staff and lists voice actors involved in the game. The game's price is 5,800 yen. This page is the contents page for Volume 10 of Dreamcast Magazine, dated March 19, 1999. It highlights key articles such as a discussion between Sega AM3 and Capcom developers Ku Ryuhi and Funamizu Noriyoshi about the potential synergy of NAOMI and Dreamcast. The magazine features a report from the 1999 AOU show focusing on NAOMI, a Dreamcast special report introducing upcoming games including Dynamite Cop 2. Other featured games include Shenmue, Key to E, White Illumination, Super Speed Racing, and Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, with a special interview. Strategy guides are included for Power Stone and Sega Rally 2. There's also a section listed for a game called Sengoku Turb Genotai DX. The page also mentions Dreamcast hot information, with details on new games such as Real Sound Kaze no Regret, Nanatsu no Hihao, Senritsu no Bishu, and Sangokushi the 6th/Kume Taikai 2 Special. This page is a content index for the magazine, showcasing sections for both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn. It highlights a special serialized feature on Dreamcast peripherals, starting on page 118, and announces the results of the Reader's Choice Best Saturn Games of 1998 and the 4th Satumaga Grand Prix on page 127. Sections listed include a special report on Derby Stallion on page 138, Coming Soon software featuring Senken Kyoden and Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Secret Album on page 144, and a complete guide for Dungeons & Dragons collection on page 148. There are also sections like Sega Saturn Magazine Data Station, Sega Saturn Reader Race, and Tenito Journal. The game index on the right side lists articles for Dreamcast games such as Arrow Dancing featuring Blue Impulse Kita E, White Illumination, Psychic Force 2012, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6, Shenmue, Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, Test Drive Le Mans, Sega Rally 2, Sengoku Turb, Sonic Adventure, Dynamite Cop, Nanatsu no Hikan, Senritsu no Bishao, Power Stone, Puyo Puyon, Mahjong Taikai 2 Special, and Real Sound, Kaze no Regret. The Sega Saturn section of the index features Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Secret Album, Senken Kyoden, Derby Stallion, and Dungeons & Dragons collection. The next page highlights the installation of DC sales corners at Joyopolis and Sega Freak stores, showcasing Dreamcast merchandise. These corners feature a range of goods, with popular items being Shenmue merchandise, including posters and mugs. They also stock items featuring the Dreamcast logo and character goods from Tomikawa Genmu. Additionally, the page announces that Dreamcast consoles are now available for purchase at Toyota dealerships. Through the Pipit corner at Toyota stores, which focuses on multimedia and car navigation, customers can buy and rent Dreamcast systems. The image shows a Pipit corner in a Tokyo Toyota store. This page also acts as a weekly news landmark section of Dreamcast Magazine, with dates Friday 3/5 and Thursday 3/11 marked. This page highlights various news and announcements. Firstly, there's news about a Sakura Wars live performance album called Miracle Bell, being released on CD, capturing the experience of the Christmas live show. Next, there's an article discussing the possibility of the PC online RPG Dark Eyes being ported to the Dreamcast. The game, developed by Nextech, supports online play, and NTT Data is involved in server provision. Fans are hoping for offline play if it comes to Dreamcast. Moving on. Sakura Wars 2 is getting a movie release on Laserdisc, featuring scenes from the game with added commentary. There's also an event announcement for the third AJAPA Cup Finals for Puyo Puyo, which will be held at the Tokyo Game Show 99 Spring, with qualifiers already in progress. Finally, there's a section about Sega prize goods planned for the summer. These include anime characters and Bugs Life merchandise, like plushies and figures, available in UFO catcher machines. Super Doll Licka-chan goods and Sonic Adventure-themed glasses are also part of the prize lineup. The next page highlights various media releases. First up is the PC Game Accessory Disc, Etude Prologue, which is described as coloring your PC experience, with a release date set for April 9th and priced at 3,900 yen. This disc seems to be related to the adventure game series, and includes things like screensavers, wallpapers, voice data, BGM, and game strategy data. Next we have news about Meltlancer, which is getting an OVA adaptation. The first volume is scheduled for release on May 25th, priced at 5,800 yen. This OVA is being produced by Gonzio Animation Studio, and is based on the Saturn game Meltlancer. There are two prize giveaways mentioned. Bandai's new handheld game, The WonderSwan, is launching alongside its official guidebook on March 4th, and 5 lucky readers can win a copy of this guidebook. The guidebook is priced at 680 yen. The other giveaway is related to Lee Kohran from Sakura Wars, offering readers a birthday return gift. 3 readers have the chance to win Chinese sweets called mahua, priced at 650 yen. This giveaway is to celebrate Lee Kohran's birthday on March 3rd, and is being offered at the Taisho Roman Hall store. Lastly, the movie section focuses on Sandra Bullock, mentioning her roles in the films Speed and The Net. It notes that Speed reached #1 at the U.S. box office, and that both films are scheduled to be released in Japanese cinemas from March 13th. An audition is announced for the voice of D.G.I. Sharat, a female character over 12. Applications are due April 15th, with the final selection in Tokyo on May 2nd. 2 present campaigns are also running. 5 winners will receive Cable Pack and Cable Organizers. Another 5 will win a set of Hori Pro Idol Paradise trading cards. Music releases include Cool Train by Cool Drive Makers, Sarin by All.ni.co, Superman Solitude Macaroni by Kitty Enterprises, Dancing with Petty Buka by Petty Buka, Glow in the Dark by Koji Kikawa, Purple Fruits Caramel by Caramel Funhouse, Haruka Kanata E by Pierrot, and Knife by Shouta. To enter the present campaigns, send your name, phone number, address, age, occupation, and opinions to the Landmark Present section by March 18th. This page showcases the Dreamcast software sales ranking for a particular week. Topping the chart is Sega Rally 2, a racing game praised for its depth of information and tips, a must-have for fans of the series. In second place is Sonic Adventure, the action-adventure title featuring the Cow Garden, where players can interact with unique creatures. Following closely in third is Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, an RPG where director Tomita was interviewed, hinting at possible sequels. Virtua Fighter 3 TB claims the 4th spot, steadily approaching 300,000 cumulative sales. 5th position is held by July, an adventure game with a rich scenario encouraging thorough exploration. Ranking 6th is Incoming, a shooting game celebrated for its intense action and dramatic storyline. 7th Cross Evolution, a strategy RPG, takes 7th place, suggesting players aim to master the game by collecting all parts. 8th is Godzilla Generations, an action title prompting players to use the Puru Puru Pak controller to fully embody Godzilla. Tetris 4D sits at 9th, emphasizing the deceptively deep gameplay of this puzzle classic. Finally, in 10th position is Sengoku Turb, an action RPG featuring a special interview with developer Masuya, among others. Overall, the page highlights the diverse and popular game lineup for the Dreamcast, covering various genres and showcasing both new releases and established hits in the Japanese market. This page showcases the Reader's Choice Anticipated Titles Top 30 ranking for Dreamcast games. At number 1 is Grandia 2, with anticipation building for its RPG elements and story. Second place is Shenmue, Azalea Chapter, with excitement surrounding the Tokyo Game Show data and news about the Azalea theme and an interview with Yu Suzuki. Biohazard Code, Veronica takes the 3rd spot, highlighting its unique zombie horror compared to previous games. The weekly pickup focuses on Runecaster, a strategy game, highlighting its magic users, monster summoning, and strategic gameplay. The article mentions the importance of action patterns and monster types in battles, appealing to players who enjoy programming-like game design. The top 30 list includes other notable titles such as Magical Sword X, Denu Senki, Virtual on Oratorio Tangram, The House of the Dead 2, D no Shokutaku 2, D2, Street Fighter ZER03, Mobile Suit Gundam Gaiden, Colony Falling Ground Kita Ease, White Illumination, Sentimental Graffiti 2, The King of Fighters Dream Match 1999, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, J-League Pro Soccer Club Otsukuru, Climax Landers, Blue Stinger, Get Base, Berserk, Sunrise Ayutan, Sunrise Heroes, Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2 and Nippon Budokan, Professional Baseball Team Otsukuru, Real Sound, Wind Regret, Mercurius Pretty, Undercover AD2025K, Ring, Temporary Title, Aturu, Guru Onsen, Gather, Guru Hot Springs, Frame Gride, Sukan no Sangokushi, Blue Sky and Deep Regret of the Three Kingdoms, Chohamaru Golf, Superfun Golf, and Elemental Gimmick Gear. Dreamcast Magazine presents 2 rankings. The Porting Wish Top 20 Inches reveals reader desires for Dreamcast ports, led by Rent a Hero, Sakura Wars, and Final Fantasy. Other popular requests include Shining Force, Virtua Striker, 2 Vring 99, and Soul Calibur. The magazine hints at potential announcements based on these fan requests. The video game income ranking Top 15 Inches showcases top-earning arcade games, with Virtua Striker 2 Vring 99, Virtua Fighter 3 TB, and Spike Out leading the list. The ranking highlights interest in Naomi arcade titles, suggesting potential home ports. The weekly pickup section features Fatal Fury, Wild Ambition, praising its new systems and 3D graphics, and The House of the Dead 2, emphasizing the arcade-like home experience and encouraging practice. This document is a 1999 Dreamcast release schedule from a magazine. March saw the release of several games, including Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes and ** House of the Dead 2. April brought Buggy Heat, Get Bast, Kimes, and * Elemental Gimmick Gear. May saw * Shutoku Battle and * Dynamite Deca 2. June featured Climax Landers. July saw New Japan Pro Wrestling 2 Densetsu 4. December was a major release period, including Time Shenmue and * King of Fighters Dream Match, 1999. Unspecified dates included Time Shenmue Caster, Berserk, and * Biohazard Code Veronica. A January 2000 release of * Sentimental Graffiti 2 * was planned. Hardware releases included the Dreamcast gun and fishing controller. Other peripherals were also scheduled, including the Camera Dream Battle and Super Invention BOY Canapan. This page is showcasing the Dreamcast Readers Race Rankings, a popularity poll of Dreamcast games voted by readers for Race 10. The top-ranked titles are listed, including Sega at number 1 and Sonic Adventure at number 2. Other ranked games include Jikyo Powerful Pro Yaku World Stadium, Virtua Fighter 3TB, Senken TURB, Pen Pen Tri-Isolon, 7th Cross, Evolution, Godzilla Generations, Incoming, and Tetris 4D. Featured as new software announcements are Power Stone, described as an action game where you fight using objects in the environment, with a reviewer noting its simple controls make it fun, even without complex fighting game knowledge. Popsin Music is also highlighted as a new music game, praised for its satisfying button-pressing gameplay, and the Dreamcast version is said to be a perfect arcade port with added songs. Additionally, the new peripheral Popsin controller is introduced as a dedicated controller for Popsin Music, noted for its comfortable size and responsive buttons, improving the gameplay experience. The Dreamcast VGA box is also showcased, receiving positive feedback for its high-quality video output, making games appear cleaner and sharper, and is considered ideal for Dream Passport and games with small text. This page showcases release software information featuring reviews for several Dreamcast games. At the top of the list is Virtua Fighter 3TB, an action title, followed by Pen Pen Tri-Isolon, described as a character-driven action game. Incoming, The Final Conflict, a shooting game, and July, an adventure game, also receive reviews and scores. The page also presents an odds table ranking Dreamcast peripherals based on reader votes, with the Dreamcast VGA box at the top, followed by the arcade stick and racing controller. There's a section called Dream Owner's Voice, which includes reader comments about games, mentioning titles like what seems to be Shenmue 2, Sengoku Turb, and Sega Rally 2, alongside player experiences and opinions. A large section details a reader contest, where participants predict the ranking of the game to Heart, White Illumination. Prizes are mentioned for correctly predicting the rankings, including a chance to win a desired game. Another contest announces a special weekly prize draw for 5 lucky readers, offering an arcade stick and visual memory bundle. Dreamcast Magazine reviews Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2 and Real Sound, Wind Regret, both releasing March 11th. Monaco Grand Prix, published by UBI Soft, 5,800 yen, offers detailed visuals and realistic racing, but faces criticism on crash effects and initial control difficulty. The game supports 12 players and received a 6.3310 score. Real Sound, Wind Regret, published by Warp, 4,800 yen, is a 2-disc Dreamcast port focused on immersive audio storytelling and received an 8.010 score. Reviewers highlighted Monaco GP's visuals and customization, but cited loading times and control challenges. For Real Sound, the immersive audio, drama-like experience, and nostalgia were praised. Reviewer notes introduced the writers, mentioning their tax returns, internet polls, travel coupons, and game preferences. This page is a special feature titled Naomi I and Dreamcast, a dangerous conversation about Synergy Dream. It's an interview between Oguchi Hisao from Sega's AM3 Research Department and Funamizu Norio from Capcom. The discussion centers around the Naomi arcade board and its relationship with the Dreamcast console. The interview was prompted by the large number of Naomi titles showcased at the 99 AOU show, seen in the bottom image, which shows the AOU 1999 Amusement Expo event. They discuss the challenge of simply porting arcade games to home consoles. Oguchi emphasizes that just direct ports are meaningless, and that home versions need unique arrangements and added value. He uses Sega Rally as an example, suggesting that just porting arcade games like Sega Rally or Virtua Fighter, Manix TT, Virtual On, and Last Bronx to Saturn wasn't enough, and more unique home console elements are needed. Funamizu, from Capcom, brings up Power Stone as a game with great potential for home consoles because of its action and intuitive controls. They acknowledge that just releasing arcade-perfect ports like Crazy Taxi directly to Dreamcast might not be enough, and there should be unique elements for home users. He mentions Capcom adding original elements like training modes in games such as Private Justice Academy, Rival Schools, United by Fate, for home consoles as a good example. Oguchi agrees, stating that once a game is ported, the arcade version's value is diminished, and suggests that home versions should offer new experiences beyond just arcade ports. This interview with Sega's Hisao Oguchi focuses on the NAOMI arcade board and its capabilities, particularly as demonstrated in Derby Owners Club. NAOMI offered Dreamcast-level specifications, enabling high-quality arcade experiences. Derby Owners Club innovated with a card system allowing players to save and manage horse data, fostering player investment in breeding and training. The interview emphasizes NAOMI's potential for creating arcade games first and then porting them to home consoles. Oguchi also discusses Dreamcast Link functionality, envisioning interactions where home players could train characters, save data, and compete in arcade settings, extending gameplay beyond the arcade environment. The NAOMI board is specified to include a SH4 CPU, PowerVR2 graphics, 32 megabytes of main memory, and 16 megabytes of graphic memory. The game employed several graphics techniques, such as bump mapping and alpha blending. In a feature titled Sega x Capcom Watercraft NAOMI and DC Dream to Leverage Synergy, Sega AM3 and Capcom representatives, including Noritaka Funamizu, discussed their Dreamcast collaboration. Capcom's use of the NAOMI arcade board, the standard at the time, facilitates a seamless transition between arcade and home experiences. They emphasize the importance of network gaming, hinting at communication games and a potential game subscription service. The Visual Memory Unit, VMU, was also highlighted for its link between arcade and home. The interview showcased Crazy Taxi and Power Stone, the latter praised for its innovative 3D action gameplay. Other games mentioned included Street Fighter Alpha 3, Rival Schools, and Sega Rally 2, reflecting the shared assets and synergy between the companies. Online gaming on the Dreamcast, with its challenges and prospects, was a key focus, with the Dreamcast version of Power Stone receiving positive early feedback. Game developers discussed the industry's direction and their hopes for the Sega Dreamcast. They criticized the trend of overly cinematic games, prioritizing engaging gameplay and innovative ideas over visual spectacle. Games like Virtual On are praised, while some current titles are seen as lacking originality. The developers champion unique gameplay experiences like Derby, Magical Truck Adventure, and Parappa the Rapper over technical superiority. The interview also explores the arcade scene, advocating for a more diverse and enjoyable experience beyond traditional fighting games, citing Power Stone as an example. They are optimistic about the Dreamcast and its NAOMI arcade counterpart, emphasizing the potential for innovative games, particularly highlighting the upcoming Dreamcast version of Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. This discussion between Capcom's Oguchi and Funamizu focuses on the NAOMI arcade board and the Dreamcast console, emphasizing gameplay innovation over raw hardware performance. Capcom argues that compelling game design trumps technical specs, a philosophy reflected in their approach to both platforms. They highlight the new play concept. The interview covers Capcom's development plans, including the debate between 2D and 3D graphics, and references Justice Gakuen, Rival Schools, specifically discussing the new training mode in the PlayStation port. They hint at simultaneous releases for Dreamcast and NAOMI, and express interest in exploring network capabilities, mentioning Biohazard, Resident Evil, as a key title. The postscript underscores Capcom's commitment to Sega platforms, marking a departure from their PlayStation-centric releases and expressing enthusiasm for future games on Dreamcast and NAOMI. Screenshots of Rival Schools are included. The 1999 Amusement Operators Union show featured several upcoming NAOMI arcade games from Sega, the platform behind the Dreamcast. Crazy Taxi, a single-player action game, was highlighted for its frenetic taxi gameplay. Derby Owners Club, a horse racing game for up to 8 players, offered a deep experience with card management and potential Dreamcast modem compatibility. Airline Pilot, a realistic flight simulator developed with Japan Airlines, aimed to provide an authentic pilot training experience, showcasing multiple screens for enhanced immersion. Finally, Cruise Ball Stone, likely Kraken DJ Part 2, a two-player puzzle game, was presented as a simple-to-learn but addictive color-matching game. The 1999 Amusement Machine Show showcased upcoming games for Sega's NAOMI arcade board and Dreamcast. Highlights included Dead or Alive 2, boasting enhanced graphics and character animations, Super Pachinko Taisen 2i, a pachinko game with online battles and potentially risque content, and Giant Graham, All Japan Pro Wrestling 2, allowing wrestler creation on the Dreamcast for use in the arcade. Zombie Revenge, a shooting action game, and Boat Race 2, a metal game, were also previewed. Power Stone from Capcom was highlighted for its intuitive controls and exciting 3D action. Finally, SNK's adoption of the NAOMI board generated excitement, potentially leading to games similar to Power Stone, and featured an original movie and impressive real-time CG. The Dreamcast is getting a wave of music and driving games. Music games like Dance Dance Revolution and Beat Mania are highlighted, with previews of Konami's Guitar Freaks, a two-player guitar simulator, and Drum Mania, offering a realistic drumming experience. Bust-A-Move offers rhythm-action gameplay, and Times VJ/Shailco provides a visual jockey simulation similar to Beat Mania. Flashbeat is a unique sports-action music game requiring rhythm and reflexes. Driving games include Namco's *500GP, the first official World GP game with up to 4-player support, and Taito's Battle Gear, emphasizing realistic driving physics, drift control, and a variety of cars. The anticipated Ferrari F355 Challenge is also mentioned. The article previews several arcade games shown at a show. Under unique item-type games, Namco's Jumping Glove, a health-focused game, is highlighted. Prize vending machine games feature popular photo booths and music games like Sega's Making Fun Club, Namco's Angler King, a fishing game with humorous luxury, and Submarine Z, a submarine simulator, are also presented. Taito's RCT2Go, Radio Control Train Go, is a radio-controlled car game in their Train Simulator series. Sega's Street King Decisive Battle, Who, is a DJ Steam-targeted quiz game with a Purikura-style certification. Finally, Dreamcast Magazine like AOU Check showcases potential Atari arcade game imports, including Road Burner, Hydro Thunder, and the gun shooters Area 51 and Site 4. The article emphasizes the significance of seeing overseas games, as they are rarely released in Japan. This page highlights upcoming arcade games powered by the Naomi arcade board. In the shooting game section, we see previews for Battle Back Raid from Aiding, which is promising hotter and more intense action, and Gigawing by Capcom, which is nearing completion. For fighting games, Street Fighter II Third Strike from Capcom is under development and generating heated discussion among fans, though its development is at 42%. In a surprising twist, Sega is reviving Fantasy Zone as a metal game, promising a nostalgic experience. SNK's Garou, Mark of the Wolves, also known internationally as Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves, is showcased as the second entry in the popular series to embrace 3D graphics and is at 100% development. The next issue will feature a detailed preview of the Dead or Alive 2 AOU demo running on Naomi, along with an in-depth interview with producer Itagaki Tomonobu from Team Ninja. The page concludes with a general review discussing the future of the Naomi board and arcade game trends, touching on various game genres and company strategies. Readers also have a chance to win prizes like a Fantasy Zone playing manual and a Ume Postpadrikla item. This page is an advertisement for Dynamite Deca 2, known internationally as Die Hard Arcade 2 or Dynamite Cop, outside of Japan. The page highlights the return of Amazing Strongest Men and boasts the game as a powerful sequel that shook the arcade world in 1998 and is now coming to Dreamcast. The advert mentions the game is scheduled for release in May 1999 for 5,800 yen. It emphasizes the non-stop dramatic action for 1 to 2 players and promotes it as a must-have title for Dreamcast fans, urging them to eagerly await its release. The page features artwork of the main characters, including Bruno Dellinger, Gene Ivey, and Eddie Brown, and game screenshots showcasing in-game action with characters fighting enemies. Production staff credits are listed including General Director, Nakagawa Rikiya, from Sega AM1 Research Department, and director, Makoto Uchida, known for Golden Axe and Altered Beast, and production by Sega AM1 Research. It also mentions refined development release. This page announces that the masterpiece action game, Dynamite Deca 2, known internationally as Dynamite Cop, is coming to Dreamcast. The article highlights this as a significant event for the Dreamcast. The first section explains that Dynamite Deca, known internationally as Die Hard Arcade, is the origin of the series, released on STV arcade hardware in 1996, and was inspired by the movie Die Hard, becoming a hit. It also mentions the Sega Saturn version. There is an interview with Tatsuya Nakagawa, the AM1 Research Department head, who confirms that Dynamite Deca 2 is coming to Dreamcast. He states that details about original elements are still under development and will be announced as they are decided, asking fans to look forward to future updates. The second section emphasizes the enhanced quality of Dynamite Cop on Dreamcast, boasting improved graphics thanks to the Model 2 board upgrade, running at a smooth 60 frames per second. The article points out the free and exhilarating action, allowing players to pick up and use various items as weapons, and perform diverse attack combinations. The setting of the game is described as a battlefield, or, more accurately, a ship. Dynamite Deca 2, Die Hard Arcade 2, is coming to the Dreamcast, promising an explosive experience. The game stars Bruno Dellinger, now under presidential orders, alongside new characters Gene Ivey, Eddie Brown, and returning character Caroline. Set on the luxury liner Bermuda, terrorists have seized control, prompting a SEAL operation to infiltrate and neutralize the threat. The Dreamcast version boasts enhanced graphics over the arcade original, with potential for new gameplay features and VM-specific functionality. Screenshots showcase classic beat-em-up action with diverse environments and intuitive controls. With a spring 1999 release, the game is highly anticipated. This page is all about Shenmue and upcoming related releases. It's advertising the Shenmue theme song single CD and album CD release, with the single dropping on April 1, 1999. The page highlights Shenmue's presence at the Tokyo Game Show 99 in spring, where attendees could experience the game and even get visual memory data. There's also a preview of the game with a screenshot featuring Ryo Hazuki, and the page mentions an interview with Ito-san, the singer of the Shenmue theme song. It also mentions the price for the single CD is 1,000 yen, and the album CD is 2,500 yen. This page is an interview with singer Kana Ito about her involvement with the game Shenmue and the theme song Sakura Hong Kong Love Song. The interview discusses how she was asked to sing the song just 3 days before the announcement event. The page includes Ito's profile mentioning her birthday as February 6, 1979, her birthplace as Tokyo, and her measurements. It lists her CD releases, which include songs from the anime and games, including Detective Conan theme songs. It also lists her event appearances, such as Yusen 440 New Kobe Oppa mini concert, and TV and radio guest appearances. There are images of Ito and a section titled Team, Various People Gather Shenmue, featuring comments from a person in charge, a director, and a record company staff member about Ito and her song for Shenmue, emphasizing her beautiful voice and suitability for the game's theme. The interview also mentions the Yokohama presentation event on December 20th, where the song was first revealed, and Ito's feelings about performing with a live orchestra and wearing a dress for the first time. She describes the song as comfortable to sing and expresses her desire to convey the emotion of the song to listeners. This page is a game preview for Kita-e White Illumination, a romance-adventure game from Hudson Soft set in Hokkaido. The game is described as a travel communication title for one player only, priced at 5,800 yen and scheduled for release on March 18th. The preview highlights the protagonist, a boy escaping the confines of Tokyo to find new experiences in the northern land of Hokkaido. The tagline emphasizes themes of encounters and love in an unfamiliar place, and the headline mentions 8 angels carrying love, likely referring to the game's heroines. The page indicates the game is 100% complete and anticipates the release in 2 weeks, noting excitement in Hokkaido for the title. This page is about the game Hoku-e, or To the North, a visual novel adventure game where the protagonist explores Hokkaido during summer and winter. The game is divided into 2 main parts: the summer arc, 2 weeks, and the winter arc, 4 days. The summer arc focuses on deepening relationships with various girls, starting with the protagonist's cousin, and involves meeting 8 girls in total. The game features a unique, Communication Break System, CBS, where conversations evolve based on player choices and timing. Minigames are also included, and performing well in them can positively influence the girl's impressions of the player and even lead to gift exchanges. The winter arc is shorter and set during the winter illumination countdown, focusing on deepening relationships further. The protagonist's journey to Hokkaido is motivated by difficulties in school life, leading his mother to suggest a trip to his uncle's family in Hokkaido, which includes his cousin and aunt. This page previews the Dreamcast game Kita E, Northward. The story starts with the relationship between Kotori and Ayu. The game is set in Hokkaido and begins with a trip to Tokyo on August 1st and 2nd. The story unfolds based on player choices and interactions, focusing on events around Kotori and Ayu's actions. The page introduces the Haruno family, where Kototori's mother, Yuko, raises Kototori alone after her father's death 7 years ago. Yuko works as a TV program creator in Hokkaido. The story continues with a reunion at the airport, where the protagonist meets Kotori again, who allows him to call her Oni-chan, older brother. In the train journey to Kotori's home, players can learn more about Kotori, including her school life and taste in men. At the Haruno's house, an Okari Neko, welcome home cat, doll greets them, capable of speech recognition. Kotori introduces it as Eru. After settling in, players can go shopping with Kotori. Kotori's mother is portrayed as a busy working mother who is good at cooking. The game features a guidebook that players obtain early on. This in-game guidebook is incredibly detailed, containing maps of Sapporo and Otaru, descriptions of in-game locations and shops, and even information about real-world counterparts, making it useful for actual Hokkaido sightseeing. The game connects to real-world websites via Dream Passport, allowing players to access further information about locations featured in the game. This page focuses on the game Kita E, White Illumination, detailing sightseeing spots in Sapporo with the character Kotori. It mentions visiting the former Hokkaido government building and the clock tower as recommended spots. If you choose to sightsee alone, you might encounter Kaoru at Hokkaido University, who is often reading on a bench and difficult to approach. The page also introduces an encounter with a short-haired girl named Ayu in Tanuki-Koji Shopping Street, described as Kotori's friend. The article then suggests visiting Shugai Building, an amusement center where you can play video games, including UFO catchers and quiz games, highlighting that winning a quiz game results in a harsh punishment for the loser. Finally, it describes a Dabada fortune-telling feature, using the in-game PHS system to check compatibility with characters by calling a fortune-telling corner and inputting phone numbers. This page details date scenarios for August 3rd with two girls, Kotori and Ayu. If you are dating Kotori, the suggestion is to visit Otaru, a town near Sapporo known for glass crafts, accessible by train in about an hour. The date includes visiting the Otaru Canal Art Museum and relaxing in a cafe. The train journey is a chance to chat with Kotori about summer memories. Alternatively, if you are dating Ayu, the destination is Tefen Olympia, an amusement park divided into Plaza 1 and Plaza 2. Plaza 1 features a haunted house and event spaces, revealing Ayu's unexpected side, showing she's actually quite scared and maybe lonely, despite her seemingly strong personality. The page hints that Ayu is afraid of haunted houses and thrilling rides at Tefen Olympia. This page is about the Dreamcast game, White Illumination, Kita E, White Illumination. It introduces the game's winter story, focusing on romance and dating scenarios. The feature highlights a character met in the glasswork studio named Tanya, noting her captivating expressions. The game is set in Hokkaido and has a summer and winter story. The summer part takes place over 14 days, where the protagonist meets various girls and dates, while the winter part is shorter, lasting 4 days, and is about deepening relationships. The page poses questions about who will greet the player at the airport in winter, suggesting it could be Sayuri or Ayu. It also showcases winter date locations like Sapporo and Hakodate, mentioning Sapporo's clock tower and Hakodate's seafood and night views as date spots. The game seems to revolve around building relationships with female characters and experiencing romantic events, culminating in a promised kiss at the year-end illumination event. There is also a section about making date plans after a previous date in the train, where one of the girls suggests another date. This page reveals character relationship details for the adventure game Kita E, White Illumination, which was never released outside of Japan. The page shows a character relationship chart, highlighting the connections between 8 main female characters and other supporting characters. The text states that 6 of these 8 girls have some connection to each other beyond just blood relations or being customers. The chart details family relationships, friendships, and work connections. For example, it shows the main character and their parents, siblings, and cousins. It also introduces characters like Haruno Hibiki, a cousin in the tennis club, and Sakuragi Yuko, a self-defense force officer who is a common connection of Kita Hokkai. Other characters include Tanya Lipinski, who works at the Otaru Canal Art Museum, and Ozaki Sei, Tanya's master at the Enzel Tea House. The page also mentions character ages, schools, and professions within the character descriptions. This page is all about the Dreamcast game Kita-e White Illumination, a title that remained exclusive to Japan. This is a fan page corner for the game, encouraging reader participation. There are 2 contests announced, one for love messages dedicated to the characters, and another for fashion illustrations, where fans can design outfits for the female characters in the game. Excitingly, Kita-e merchandise is announced to be on sale at the Tokyo Game Show '99 Spring, featuring items such as telecards, clear file sets, desk calendars, mousepads, original music boxes, and trading cards. The page also includes the schedule for the Tokyo Game Show '99 Spring. Lastly, it promotes the Kita-e theme song CD, which was released on March 25th. The next page is a preview for the Dreamcast game Kart Flag to Flag, referred to as Super Speed Racing in Japanese. The page highlights the game's focus on recreating the thrill of kart racing at speeds of 400 km per hour. It mentions that the game is based on the 1998 kart season, using team and driver data from that year. The screenshots showcase in-game racing action, driver selection menus with Bobby Rahal featured, and race settings indicating Miami as a course. The text emphasizes the improved graphics and sense of speed compared to previous versions, noting detailed course layouts and time displays. The game is slated for release by Sega on March 25th, priced at 5,800 yen, supporting 12 players and racing controllers. The preview emphasizes the game's realistic portrayal of kart racing, its fast-paced gameplay, and the exciting battles on oval courses, promising a compelling kart experience. This page highlights the Dreamcast racing game Super Speed Racing, likely known internationally as Kart Flag to Flag. The page emphasizes the game's realism, achieved through location scouting, and the variety of camera angles offered 5 in total. These include a nose view, 2 driver views, and 2 rear views, each offering a different perspective on the race. The article mentions the driver views incorporate details like helmet reflections and visor oil effects for added immersion. It also promotes the game's compatibility with racing controllers for a more authentic driving experience, critical for a game that emphasizes precise steering for on-rails racing. A section titled From Sega mentions the game's expected kart racing experience, referencing a release date of April 10th and speeds of up to 350 km per hour. The game aims to capture the heat of racing battles and deliver a sense of speed, recommending players experience this themselves. The page also shows screenshots of the game in action and the game's menu. This page introduces the arcade mode in Super Speed Racing, highlighting it as one of the 2 main game modes alongside Championship. Arcade mode is presented as an accessible and easy way to jump into kart racing action. The page details the flow of the mode, starting with driver select, showcasing Alex Zanardi as an example driver. Next is mission select, where players choose between automatic or manual transmission. Then course select allows players to pick from 19 different circuits, with Motegi circuit shown in a screenshot. Finally, the page illustrates the race start, emphasizing the rolling start style typical of kart racing. The text describes arcade mode as being designed for quick play, removing complexities like practice and qualifying, and being forgiving with collisions, making it ideal for beginners or those wanting a fast and fun racing experience. The next page is focused on the championship mode of a racing game, highlighting it as the real mode. In contrast to arcade mode, it features 19 races that can be played through, starting from Homestead. This mode allows for detailed settings, mirroring real-world race conditions, including adjustable race lengths to match actual race distances, randomized weather, and even replicating the 1998 season races exactly. The game emphasizes in-depth car customization, extending to tire compounds, front and rear wing adjustments, and gear ratios, and suspension settings. The difficulty is adaptable to player skill levels across 3 stages. A key feature mentioned is the enhanced replay mode, dubbed SSR, which is described as essential for racing games and capable of saving replay data if a VM, visual memory, is available. This replay mode is likened to watching a TV broadcast of the race, offering a dynamic and immersive viewing experience, even with 27 cars on screen. This page seems to be setting up a narrative or scenario, possibly for an upcoming game. It presents two dialogues. The first dialogue is about a conversation between two people discussing going to Tokyo to visit an uncle, but one person doesn't want to go, suggesting running away together instead because summer vacation is starting and they might not be able to meet again. The second dialogue is more intimate, where one character asks about kissing and proposes they kiss, emphasizing that it should be their secret. The page is titled, "Our Secret Only for Us," highlighting the secretive and romantic tone of the content. It appears to be a preview or introduction to a story with romantic themes, possibly related to a visual novel or adventure game. The next page showcases Real Sound, Kaze no Regret. Real Sound, Wind Regret. A game advertised as reaching 100% completion. The page features dialogue excerpts from the game, hinting at a story about forgotten memories and heartfelt feelings. The dialogue includes conversations about summer break, forgotten items, and a sense of déjà vu, suggesting themes of nostalgia and personal connections. The game is described as an interactive sound drama for one player, with 2 discs and a bonus D2 Experience demo disc included in the initial release. It is compatible with VM, communication, and Rumble Pack features, and was slated for release on March 11th. Real Sound, Kaze no Regret, originally on Saturn, is a sound-based game where players imagine the scenery. The Dreamcast version adds visuals and CD player compatibility with Rumble support. The development team includes Ino Kenji as director, with voice actors and staff for various roles. Gameplay involves selecting a screen mode and making irreversible choices that branch the story. A demo, D2 Shock. Kenji Ino presents Snowmobile Time, offers a snowmobile time attack mode. Players choose between beginner, stable, slow, and standard, fast, risky, modes to navigate a course with pylons. Mastering analog controls is crucial. Clearing the course unlocks a professional snowmobile. This page details a competition called Mobile Time Attack for the Dreamcast game D2 Shock. It's for the professional mode of the game, challenging players to complete a snowmobile course within 2 minutes. To enter, players needed to clear the snowmobile section of D2 Shock, get a password, and then enter it on the Warp website. The competition ran from March 12th to April 30th. The prizes were pretty impressive, with a snowmobile for first place, a trip to Canada for second, a snowboard for third, and original merchandise for the top 30 participants. The page also gives a quick look at a minigame within D2 Shock, described as a item battle, where players strategically use items like attack, recovery, and stop to defeat their opponent by reducing their health to 0. The next page is for the horror-adventure game Illbleed, known in Japan as Senritsu no Bishu, or Shivers of Smile. This Dreamcast title from Koei is advertised as a horror-adventure game with a pair-play system for 2 players. The page introduces the characters Reina Shirakawa and Kei Asuka and teases the story prologue, which is set on a remote island where secret research is being conducted. It mentions the game is 50% complete and will be priced at 6,800 yen upon release. The storyline involves environmental issues and bioscience, leading to an incident where the protagonists are drawn into a mystery after receiving an email about a missing person. This page is focused on the mysteries surrounding the McPherson family in the Dreamcast game Carrier. It introduces Dr. Ernest McPherson, the scientist who established the McPherson Foundation on Narrated Island, dedicated to genetic research, and also the father of Alan and Christy. Alan McPherson is described as currently leading the McPherson Foundation and directing operations on Narrated Island, appearing older than his age suggests. Christy McPherson is highlighted as a figure who is thought to have died from a genetic disease similar to Ernest's wife, caused by chemical substances, but she reappears as an adult before the protagonists. The page raises questions about the relationship between the main characters and the Doctor, noting that Dr. Ernest is the uncle of Shirakawa Reiji's father and that Hibino Yosuke was his most promising student at K University's Faculty of Science and Engineering. It mentions that 2 people deeply connected to the Doctor have gone missing, alluding to the events of the game. The page also emphasizes the surprising existence of a railway system on the isolated island, suggesting perhaps even an underground network, and poses the question of what is happening within the strangely silent mansion that features prominently in the game. A cooperative two-player experience is central to the game, featuring characters Ki and Ayana, and utilizing a pair-con system. While playable solo, the game shines when players explore and assist each other, enhancing the shared experience of fear and joy. The First Mansion, Genetic Research Institute, located on New Russell Island, is one of 7 locations. Led by Director Schneider, it's a coral reef by day, transforming into an eerie environment at night, concealing secrets. Players search for clues in typical adventure game fashion, navigating locations like desks and drawers. On-screen monitoring and mapping are crucial to avoid getting lost. Dialogue hints at clue finding, and the game promises unprecedented combat. Screenshots reveal a clinical laboratory within the Institute, and a bloodied Director Schneider, driven by a delusion of benefiting mankind through his research. This page previews a game featuring deformed creatures, asking, "Is there a way to defeat the deformed creatures?" It introduces 2 monsters, Valgar and Ripper. The page mentions that pollution has contaminated the earth, making resources scarce, except on Nurassel Island, where pure water can be found. However, this island is also home to dangerous, non-native creatures. Valgar is described as a monster with 4 legs and sharp claws, and Ripper appears human-like but mutated. The text suggests players will need to find weapons to defend themselves and solve the mystery behind these creatures, implying that combat and exploration are key gameplay elements. The text mentions Dreamcast hot information and new arrival information, suggesting this is a new game announcement for the Dreamcast platform. This page provides a preview of Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6. Awakening of the Dragon, a simulation game for the Dreamcast, developed by Koei, scheduled for release on March 25th for 9,800 yen of it. The focus of this preview is on the virtue parameter, described as an essential quality for rulers in the game. The page explains that virtue is a crucial parameter affecting gameplay, influencing diplomacy and citizen loyalty. If virtue is low, subordinates may abandon the player, and various negative consequences can arise in managing the country. It highlights methods to increase virtue, such as receiving appointments and responding to requests for aid. Conversely, it details actions that decrease virtue, like plundering from citizens, suppressing rebellions with force, and failing to meet imperial requests. Screenshots illustrate gameplay elements, including city management screens and character interactions. A trivia knowledge section discusses virtuous figures in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, suggesting Kong Ming, Zhuge Liang, as a prime example due to his selfless service to his lord and his diplomatic skills. The preview emphasizes the importance of virtue as a key element in successfully ruling in Romance of the Three Kingdoms VI. This guide focuses on recruiting and utilizing officers in a Dreamcast Romance of the Three Kingdoms game. Effective recruitment relies on offering money, promising high positions, or gifting valuable items. Gold is generally the best initial offer. Handling officer dissatisfaction is crucial. Mistreating officers hinders their usefulness. Maximizing officer potential requires considering intelligence and leadership alongside combat ability. 2 main strategies are highlighted: winning duels and employing intelligence in battles. Duels benefit from pre-battle strategy, planning moves, and utilizing tactics. Intelligence-based warfare involves officers skilled in knowledge and tactics, like fire and provocation. The guide concludes with a list of 7 troop types: infantry, cavalry, mountain infantry, barbarian, iron cavalry, mountain nomad, and navy, each with unique terrain strengths and weaknesses. Understanding troop types and terrain is essential for strategic advantage. The next page focuses on the Dreamcast mahjong game, Neto de Mahjong Tsuwai 2. This game boasts a roster of 23 polygon characters, all famous historical figures and celebrities. The question posed is, who among them will achieve glory as the strongest mahjong player? The game is marked as 100% complete and ready for release on March 4th, priced at 6,800 yen. It emphasizes the enhanced graphics for the Dreamcast, highlighting that the polygon models are even more beautiful than before. The page details character customization options before starting the game, allowing players to select from 12 face types and 3 voice types for their character. The 23 playable characters are listed and include well-known names such as Nostradamus, Joan of Arc, Sherlock Holmes, Oda Nobunaga, Hideyoshi Toyotomi, Napoleon, and Cleopatra, among others. Several screenshots showcase different game rules and modes, including Bakari rule, standard rule, free rule, and rule setting. These screenshots provide glimpses of the in-game interface and character models. The game appears to offer various rule customization options, allowing for a personalized mahjong experience. This page introduces Mahjong Tushin Den on Dreamcast, a game where you aim to become the strongest mahjong player in Mahjong City. You start with 100 G and must increase your wealth by playing mahjong and entering tournaments, eventually aiming to reach 10,000 G. The game features a mahjong tournament mode where 24 players compete, with the top 5 players receiving prizes. There's also a 10,000 G acquisition battle, where, upon reaching 10,000 G, you can participate in a final tournament to become the ultimate mahjong champion. The page highlights different rule sets available in the game, including Hokkaido Rule, a standard rule set described as easy to play, focusing on water turn and fixed characters. Punk Rule emphasizes speed, suitable for quick matches with one-shot wins. Inflation Rule features high stakes and expensive tiles, with Cleopatra as a fixed opponent and high scores possible. One Chance Battle Rule focuses on luck and quick decisions, with limited continuous rounds. Finally, the Mahjong Center is mentioned as the place to adjust rules, review records, and save your progress. This page is an advertisement for the WonderSwan handheld console, announcing a special limited edition release decision. The text highlights the phrase, the WonderSwan, and the release date of April 16th. The price is listed as 590 yen. The advert also includes a website address: http://www.zdnet.co.jp/. This page is the front page of the Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide section of the magazine. It lists some of the games that will be covered in the guide, with their respective page numbers. The featured games are Power Stone on page 58, Sega 2 on page 68, Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse on page 72, Psychic Force 2012 on page 94, Sonic Adventure on page 100, and Puyo Puyon on page 106. The page also features a large illustration of an anime-style character with goggles, possibly a pilot, likely to represent the adventure or gaming spirit of the Dreamcast. This page is about Power Stone, a Capcom action fighting game for the Dreamcast. It provides gameplay strategy tips for players. The first section asks, "Battle start time. What do you do?" and advises players to consider whether to attack or retreat at the beginning of a match when both players have one Power Stone. It suggests keeping distance from the opponent to avoid taking damage and thinking about how to damage the opponent. The second section asks, "When being chased, what do you do?" and discusses close-range combat. It warns against relying too much on guarding, suggesting jump attacks as a better option when being chased. Screenshots of the characters Maxwell and Rouge in gameplay are shown to illustrate these points. The page is essentially giving players some fundamental strategies for success in Power Stone battles. This page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Power Stone. The page addresses 3 key scenarios players might encounter in the game. Firstly, it advises on what to do when knocked down, suggesting players should utilize the opportunity to get up and counterattack. Secondly, it provides general combat advice for Power Stone, which is described as a unique competitive action game in its 3rd week of strategy coverage in the magazine. Lastly, it discusses strategies for when a player is transformed by an opponent, recommending players to see this as a chance for a counterattack, as it creates an opening despite the disadvantage. This Power Stone strategy guide focuses on early battle tactics for stone acquisition and securing a safe position. When facing a close opponent at the battle's start, the guide recommends using JP plus K for a guaranteed stone grab, especially if the opponent is idle. If the opponent runs away, the guide suggests predicting the 3rd stone's location and cornering them, with chasing and aerial throws being more effective than wall attacks against a moving target. The flowchart details actions based on opponent proximity and movement, recommending moves like JK, item attacks, and JP. The guide emphasizes adjusting JK height for accuracy and using aerial throws from below when the opponent jumps. It also advises exploiting low ceilings for continuous attacks on opponents who grab them. This page is a strategy guide for long-range battles in the Dreamcast fighting game Power Stone. It advises players on what to do when facing opponents at a distance, suggesting collecting stones for a stable approach and using items to re-engage. The guide presents 2 scenarios: Case 1, when attacking based on the opponent's location, and Case 2, when you already possess a stone. It highlights using terrain and items effectively during gameplay. The page includes combo tables for the characters Fokker and Ayame, outlining button combinations using P, punch, and K, kick, for various blow-away attacks in directions like forward, upward, left, and right. It illustrates good and bad examples of approaching the enemy and stone positions. The advice given is to utilize JK, jump kick, for high-altitude attacks and projectile throwing for heavier characters, while suggesting caution with item throws and using stone direction K for a different attack approach. This page is a strategy guide for close-range combat in Psychic Force 2012. It poses the question, what should I do in close-quarters combat, and suggests using jump attacks with the JK or JP plus K button combinations as ideal strategies, while advising to use JK when unsure. The guide offers two scenarios. Case 1 is when the opponent frequently uses JK attacks, recommending countering with aerial throws or delayed JK attacks. Case 2 is when the opponent rarely jumps, suggesting luring them into jumping by approaching and retreating within JP plus K range to bait out throws and then countering with aerial throws or low aerial JK attacks. The page also highlights the importance of counter jumping, advising players to jump after the opponent in aerial engagements and to utilize aerial throws effectively, especially from a lower position. Finally, it presents combo tables for two characters, WANTAN and GUNGROLL, showcasing example combos with button inputs and directional inputs, along with descriptions like blow away for the effects. The next page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Power Stone. The guide focuses on how to escape and counter attacks when you are cornered against a wall in the game. It presents three different scenarios or cases. Case 1 is against an opponent who is unarmed. It advises using the triangle jump to escape safely from the corner. If the opponent is too close for a triangle jump to be effective, it recommends attacking the wall to push the opponent away. Case 2 is against an opponent holding an item. It suggests that most item attacks can be dodged or countered using a triangle jump. However, for items like barrels and ice, which are thrown projectiles, it's better to approach the opponent and try to catch the item as it's thrown. Case 3 is against a transformed opponent. When a transformed opponent approaches unarmed, they are likely aiming for close-range special moves. The advice is to lure them closer, and then try to trigger a special move yourself. Against a transformed opponent with an item, the strategy remains similar to Case 2, suggesting catching the thrown item and escaping rather than trying to throw it back. The bottom of the page features combination attack tables for two characters, Jack and Garuda, showing button inputs and the resulting attacks with descriptions like front blow away, up direction blow away, and left direction blow away. This fighting game guide offers strategies for handling knockdowns. When facing an opponent who relentlessly attacks after a knockdown, avoid a basic get-up and instead use a mobile get-up or jump to create space. Direct counterattacks from get-ups are possible, but risky due to timing limitations. Near walls or pillars, aerial throws and specific attacks are less effective. Instead, utilize a mobile get-up near the wall to potentially set up a counter, especially if the opponent attempts wall attacks. This is particularly useful in confined stages. The guide also includes combo charts for characters named Rouge and Ryuma, detailing button combinations, P and K, and attack directions, including a blow-away, burn/passion type of attack. The game this guide is for is possibly Fighting Vipers 2. This guide provides strategies for effective item usage in the Dreamcast fighting game Power Stone. It differentiates between close and long-range item pickups. At close range, melee weapons like the power hammer or sword are preferred over easily dodged projectiles. Long-range scenarios favor projectile items such as the pistol or bazooka. The guide cautions against relying solely on item attacks, emphasizing the importance of combining them with other fighting techniques. Item descriptions include weapons like the flamethrower, bomb, fire bottle, and ranged attacks such as the machine gun and laser gun, as well as defensive options like the power shield and recovery items. Strategic item use, understanding each item's strengths and weaknesses, and avoiding reckless attacks are emphasized for success in battles. This page features a strategy guide for using transformations effectively in the fighting game Plasma Sword, Nightmare of Bilstein. It discusses power drive and power fusion as powerful attack methods after transformation, noting their strength but also the varying difficulty of execution depending on the character. The guide presents 2 case scenarios: narrow stage and when the opponent is close. For narrow stages, it suggests using projectile attacks and item throws for a safe approach, especially if your character excels at homing/tracking abilities, as close combat becomes riskier. For situations where the opponent is close, it advises to anticipate and punish their jump-in attacks, warning against reckless power drives in close range. It recommends utilizing jump attacks and item throws to disrupt the opponent and create openings for attacks, emphasizing the importance of item throws as a key tactic during transformation for characters like Gangan Rock and Keiben Uraken. The guide highlights that after transformation, item throwing attacks are especially effective, enabling players to inflict damage while maintaining a safe distance and setting up opportunities for powerful finishing moves. This page is a strategy guide for dealing with transformations in the Dreamcast fighting game Power Stone. It asks the question, how do you deal with transformations? And presents 2 cases: running away and aiming for a counterattack. For escaping, the guide suggests jumping to avoid attacks, emphasizing vertical movement relative to the opponent. It points out that simply running away is not effective, as the opponent will track and attack. It also mentions specific attacks, like the Power Rocket, Power Hurricane, and Flower Hand Sword, offering advice on how to evade them, such as sidestepping or jumping. When aiming for a counterattack, the guide recommends using throw attacks. It explains that after an opponent's transformation attack, there's an opening to throw them. It warns against getting too close to characters like Rouge when transformed, as they can use powerful techniques like the Purgatory Hell Dance and Heaven and Earth Break. The guide also mentions moves like Rolling Thunder Slicer and Sky as opportunities to counter with throws. The page emphasizes using jump throws to counter after dodging attacks and exploiting openings when the opponent is vulnerable after certain moves. Sega Rally 2 features a hidden color-changing trick for select cars. By holding the L trigger while choosing a vehicle, players can unlock alternative color schemes for 4 specific cars. These cars are the Lancia Stratos HF, Alitalia to a new scheme, Lancia Stratos 1975, Green-White Makeover, Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, V, color change, and Mitsubishi Charisma GT, changes lettering and in-game name. The Toyota Celica GT FOURST 185 transforms from Castrol to Repsol livery, and the Toyota Corolla WRC swaps Castrol colors for a TEIN version. This visual customization, accessible in any game mode, adds to the game's replayability and offers a cool detail for those in the know, without affecting performance. To unlock 11 hidden cars in Sega Rally Championship on Dreamcast, enter the following code at the title screen, where it says, press start button. Up, down, up, B, A, left, B, right. The sound confirms successful activation. This cheat adds the following cars: Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution IV and 2i Advan, Subaru Impreza 555 4-door, Toyota Celica GT FOUR, Lancia Delta Integrale 16 volts, Peugeot 205 Turbo 16 and 106 Maxi, Renault Maxi Megane, Alpine Renault A110, Fiat 131 Abarth Rally, and Lancia 037 Rally. These cars offer diverse driving experiences, from front-wheel drive to rear-engine configurations, and can be used in any game mode. This Sega Rally 2 strategy guide provides tips for the 10-year championship mode, focusing on 4 courses: Mountain SS1, Muddy SS2, Desert SS3, and Isle SS3. Mountain SS1 emphasizes visibility and cautious cornering with DRY/damp tires. Muddy SS2 highlights poor visibility and requires SOFT/WET gravel tires, focusing on slow approaches in foggy areas. Desert SS3 emphasizes dry surfaces and tight corners, requiring compacted gravel or DRY/damp wet tires. Isle SS3 stresses navigating S-curves in the rain with WET tires, using out-in-out lines and side brakes. The overall objective is to reach first place by the Super SS stage, ultimately racing against the Lancia 037 Rally. The Super Special Stage, SSS, in Sega Rally 2 is an unlockable, highly challenging course, available after achieving first place in Isle SS3 on the 10th year. This technically demanding night stage spans 4.0 kilometers, with a 50 meters undulation, a 45% tarmac, and 55% gravel road surface, and a temperature of 8 degrees Celsius. The SSS features a stadium-type layout, mirroring real-world rally events, and presents a one-on-one battle against an 037 rally car. Sega designed this course, inspired by the Portugal Rally's Lusada stage, due to fan demand. Players must memorize the course and master driving mechanics, including careful braking and acceleration. The page offers detailed driving advice for 10 sections, emphasizing efficient use of the track. Completing 2 laps is targeted at 1 minute and 40 seconds. The SSS is presented as the ultimate test of skill in Sega Rally 2. This page from Dreamcast Magazine is a pilot training course for aerodancing featuring Blue Impulse. It's all about learning to read the cockpit instruments for better flying in this acrobatic flight simulator. It starts by recommending the cockpit view as the primary way to play for precise flying using the heads-up display, HUD. The page then explains several key instruments. First, the speedometer shows your aircraft's speed in knots, a common unit in aviation and nautical contexts. It warns that excessive speed can make turns wider. Next, the altimeter displays your altitude in feet and clarifies that this is altitude from a field reference point, not ground level. The velocity vector is explained as a marker showing the direction the aircraft is moving, essential for targeting and reaching specific points. The Mach meter shows your speed relative to the speed of sound, and the G-force meter indicates acceleration forces, with a warning about G-lock, G-force-induced loss of consciousness, from sustained high G-forces, especially during sharp maneuvers, advising slow and steady controls. Lastly, it mentions the smoke indicator. The page highlights the importance of these instruments for mastering flight in aerodancing. The flight game's HUD provides crucial information on aircraft status. The heading scale, Section A, displays the aircraft's direction in degrees. The bank scale, Section B, shows the roll angle, reading in reverse, e.g., a 45-degree indication means a 45-degree roll. The pitch scale, Section C, indicates the nose angle relative to the horizon, with a solid line denoting a climb, and a broken line, a descent. The engine tachometer, Section 3, shows engine output as a percentage, maintained between 60% and 100% for normal flight, avoiding abrupt changes. Air brakes, flaps, and landing gear are displayed when engaged. Flaps change in 25% increments. To reduce speed effectively, use engine reduction in conjunction with air brakes, flaps, and landing gear. This page is a guide on how to play the game Blue Impulse Mission on Dreamcast, titled, Let's Fly in Blue Impulse Mission Like This. It's a basic flight training guide divided into 3 steps: takeoff, turn, and landing. Step 1. Takeoff emphasizes careful controls. It advises players to wait at the edge of the runway, take off, and level off at 1,000 meters altitude. The key is to avoid sudden movements, increase engine power gradually, and gently use the control stick once speed builds up. There are 3 points to remember. Don't increase power too much, avoid sudden operation, and time the return to level flight. Step 2. Turn focuses on bank angle and altitude. It explains that when banking, the aircraft loses altitude, and players need to compensate. The goal is to maintain altitude above 1,500 feet during turns. Points are: tilt the aircraft, maintain altitude at 1,500 feet, and utilize the rudder. Step 3. Landing explains that left and right controls are not necessary during landing as the plane naturally aligns with the runway. Players should align the velocity vector with the runway marking 25 for a smooth approach. Caution is advised against reducing speed too much and landing short of the runway. Points are: prepare for landing first, be mindful of approach angle, and be careful at the very end. This guide provides a walkthrough for Sky Mission Attack, Mission 1, Island. The strategy focuses on navigating a route through 5 checkpoints to achieve a good score. Players are advised to use the F-4EJ aircraft and follow a specific path. The guide details maneuvers for each checkpoint. For instance, it recommends flying straight at 400 feet for checkpoint 1, banking left, and pitching up for checkpoints 2 and 3. Checkpoint 4 involves a left turn at 800 feet, and checkpoint 5 requires a slight altitude increase and a right turn to align with the coastline. Following a yellow route is suggested for a better score. The mission's challenge score is 10,000 points. The key to success is mastering the route and target acquisition. Quote: This page is an advertisement for Dreamcast Magazine Volume 39, scheduled for release on March 19. It promotes the magazine's special inclusion of a playable GDROM demo disc. The tagline emphasizes it's the world's first playable GDROM, packed with special bonus content and exclusive to Dreamcast Magazine. The magazine is priced at 590 yen. The demo disc includes playable samples of 3 games. Blue Stinger, described as a non-stop latest original movie. Buggy Heat, a buggy racing game previewing its release version. And Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, showcasing a Sky Mission attack mode experience. The advert features character artwork and screenshots related to these 3 games. The Google Powers. Reader Corner discusses the popularity of Final Fantasy FF versus the Dreamcast, with one reader prioritizing the console over University. Dream Plaza features dream-related submissions, including one about snakes and wealth. Readers also discuss movies like Apollo 13 and Armageddon and NASA, while another seeks information about Aichi Prefecture. A reader is excited about a Zoc figure and asks for an impersonation. Readers also share experiences related to bath routines and forgetfulness, calling themselves chariots. A Gundam game screenshot from Tokyo/Komura Ichito appears, generating fan excitement for Gundam Gaiden. Place name features a manga drawing from Fukushima, emphasizing self-belief. Finally, the page introduces Usagi Maki siblings with cat, including profiles of the shy and romantic brother Kastikun, the philosophical cat Pupi, and the sister, who handle the Pinda Listen to Cat corner. This page is a Q&A section where readers ask questions about Dreamcast and related topics. One question asks about Dreamcast soccer games, with the answer discussing the desire for innovative gameplay beyond typical sports games. Another question inquires about using the Popsin Music controller for quiz games, to which the response is lighthearted and non-committal. A reader asks about Kibu Dreamcast software, which is clarified as a section for interesting reader postcards. Another question seeks information about game music created by external musicians, with Buffalo Daughter and Nuno Bukuro mentioned as possibilities. The page also features an illustration garden section showcasing fan art with the theme Psychic Force 2012. Readers submitted illustrations based on this theme, with comments mentioning games like SNK King of Fighters, KOF, and Gekka no Kenshi. The comments also mention Neo Geo Pocket Color, noting upcoming releases and enjoyment for fans. This page is a reader submission showcase for fan art and comments about Dreamcast games. The Love Cafe section features reader comments, including discussion of the game Angelique and heart-shaped chocolates. The Girls Talk corner highlights girls' interests, such as magazine and game releases, and also mentions Angelique. Fan art sections display drawings related to Chico-san, Undercover, Patty, Insect-Colored Angel, Likely, Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, Blue Stinger, and Evolution Girl, Evolution, The World of Sacred Device. The content demonstrates enthusiastic reader engagement with these games, particularly Angelique, Undercover, and the Evolution series. The Dream to Meet section of the magazine features user-submitted content. Unconfirmed Information Bureau lists dream game ideas, including fighting game crossovers and ports of classic games. Gulgulu Comic presents short comic strips set in different prefectures. These comics feature characters like Toad, Sonic the Hedgehog, and humorous fish characters. The final comic references Giggle Saturn. Planet Earth's Forest contains Saturn game discussions, with users mentioning games like V-Girl and the dwindling physical space for Saturn games. Finally, Post Destination provides submission guidelines for users, including instructions for illustrations and the address for sending content. This page is an advertisement for a game store called B1, promoting a wide selection of games for various consoles, including Dreamcast, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Game Boy, WonderSwan, and Sega Saturn. For Dreamcast, it highlights pre-orders for Saga Frontier 2 scheduled for April 1, 1999, and upcoming releases like Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes for March 25th, and Get Bass with a fishing controller slated for April 1st. Currently available Dreamcast titles listed include Puyo Puyon and Kita-E White Illumination. For PlayStation, upcoming titles include Silent Hill and Jammer Lammy on March 18th, Final Fantasy Anthology and To Heart on March 25th, and Dancing Blade Kateni Momotenshi 2, Tears of Eden, and Tokyo Majin Gakuen Kenpucho, Tobari Rai, on April 1st and April 22nd respectively. Nintendo 64 games like Diddy Kong Racing and Pokémon Stadium 2 are mentioned as upcoming releases. Game Boy titles like Tokimeki Memorial Collection 1 and Toki Memorial Collection 2 are also listed. The ad also features a SS Poster Get campaign for Sega Saturn software purchases, indicating that customers buying Saturn games will receive various promotional posters. Saturn titles highlighted include Kiss Yori and Fure Seishun no Kagayaki. Finally, the page lists prices for various game consoles, including Game Boy Color, WonderSwan, Neo Geo Pocket Color, Nintendo 64, and Sega Saturn, and gives notice about mail orders and shipping charges. This page is an article titled, "The more someone experiences something, the more respect they show for other people's experiences." It discusses the otaku culture and how they consume and share data, particularly jokes and gaming information. It argues that true communication goes beyond data exchange and requires actual experience. It uses jokes as an example of shared data within a group and contrasts it with real-world experiences, suggesting that merely having data is not enough for genuine understanding or communication, and that real-world experiences are essential and should be respected. It mentions American jokes and jokes that are circulated within otaku communities, and uses an example of a joke about page numbers in a joke book. It argues that while data is valuable, especially for otaku, it is not a substitute for real-world experiences. The article touches on the enjoyment of circulating data and the limitations of communication solely based on data exchange, suggesting that genuine interaction and understanding require shared experiences. The ending banner announces an upcoming interview with the Kodomo no Omocha director. An ambient event by Koji Morimoto featuring INF and live performances is advertised. The articles cover diverse topics. Galacta Top Battle Round 21 inches reflects on the simple joys of anime and the surprise of snow. Deep Otaku Culture World, All-Girls Water Bikini Contest World Record, explores the loss of excitement in once thrilling experiences as one ages. Outer Kamita Game and Zorosuji Round 7 inches discusses customer service in game shops, providing advice on how to assess shop staff sincerity and handle potential issues through observation of their responses and apologies. The article includes a comic strip illustrating different customer service approaches. This page from the Something Yoshimatsu Theater comic series humorously explores the topic of motion capture for game characters on the Dreamcast. The characters in the comic are discussing the motion capture process and the challenges of applying it to different body types, specifically mentioning difficulties in capturing movements for a chubby or fat character, referred to as debut. The humor stems from the perceived limitations and sometimes awkwardness of motion capture. At the bottom of the page, there is a small advertisement for Enix System 99, with a price of 5,800 yen and a mention of it being released half a year later. This could be a product or tool related to game development, or potentially an Enix game system add-on at the time. This page is an interview with game music composer Hiroshi Kiriyama, titled, Game Industry Special Ring Round 9 My Own Time Axis. Kiriyama discusses his career and music production, mentioning his album 99 Super Soul Legend Best and Super Remixes, released on April 23, 1999, by NEC Interchannel. He reflects on his past work, including his hit game CD Super Brother, likely referring to Cho Aniki, or Super Muscle Bomber series, for which he is known. Kiriyama talks about his preference for working in his home studio in Tokyo with his brother, finding external studios too restrictive due to time pressure. He shares his perspective on the game music industry, noting that, while it's not in a terrible state, game music composers are not always valued as much as they should be. He emphasizes the need for quick game development to cater to the user base as they get older. He also expresses his personal drive, daily routine, and ambitions, feeling a constant need for adventure and to achieve great things, even experiencing sleep deprivation due to his excitement and ideas. He mentions working on multiple game projects simultaneously and compares game composers to semi-professionals due to the industry's fast-paced nature and short development cycles. Ultimately, Kiriyama aims to create impactful and exciting music for games. The next page is a column titled Black or Yellow Monkey by Fumio Kurokawa. In this column, Kurokawa discusses the band The Yellow Monkey and his personal experience with their music, particularly the song Q-Con, Bulb. He mentions working at Digicube around 1998, when they started selling music CDs and were involved in creating music programs for game software promotion using SkyPerfect TV. He recalls being impressed by QCon and wanting to feature it on their program, noting that it was different from typical promotional music. He mentions the Yellow Monkeys video clip collection Clips 2 and the single My Winding Road. Kurokawa also touches upon the music industry and promoting bands that truly connect with fans rather than just chasing high sales numbers. The column ends by mentioning that the Dreamcast Magazine editorial department is looking for reader feedback on themes and market analysis, inviting opinions and criticisms. Fumio Kurokawa's profile states he was born in 1960 and has worked in the music and film industry, and was involved in promotional production at Sega AM2 for the Virtua Fighter series. This page is a weekly column by Bamboo Motomero. It starts with some diary entries about the weather, snow falling, then melting, and the anticipation of cherry blossom season, reminiscing about unexpected snow in April a few years back. The author then mentions the Sakura Wars game, wondering if it will be released on Game Boy and discussing different Manga Time comic versions, mentioning a February release for something related. The column shifts to Episode 7, A Certain Day's Circumstances, describing a trip to an LD store and feeling tired. There's a discussion about game purchases, with mentions of Street Fighter 03, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and Final Fantasy V-2i, Final Fantasy VIII, on PlayStation. The author bought Street Fighter 03, and the person asking the question bought Final Fantasy V-2i because they had not cleared Final Fantasy V-2 yet. The column then talks about Dreamcast software, with the author admitting they haven't bought any Dreamcast games yet because they are overwhelmed with other game software. They also mention the PlayStation Pocket Station and Dreamcast visual memory, noting they have a lot of visual memory for the DC. The author jokes about deep meanings and cat costumes, referencing PlayStation. The Anime Check-It section highlights the Harlock Saga OVA, Ring of the Nibelungen Rheingold Episode 2, slated for release on March 25th. The episode introduces key characters like the heroic Harlock, his friend Tochiro, the space pirate Emeraldus, Alberic, son of Dr. Daiba, Mitel, Mime, and Daiba Tadashi. The plot synopsis reveals Emeraldus and Tochiro on a deserted planet where a hologram of Mime warns them about the Rheingold sought by the Ambrosius. In addition, the topics section promotes the third Tenchi Muyo movie, Tenchi Muyo, In Love to Haruka Naru Omoi, where Tenchi searches for himself and meets Haruna. At Tenchi Muyo, all-night event is planned for April 10th at Shinjuku Toei Palace, including screenings and a voice actor talk show. This page details several anime releases and broadcast schedules. Available now are VHS/Laserdiscs for Asterisk Trigun Stage 8, Generator Gall S3, times TV Monstrous Laundry Squad Case Alpha Asterisk, TV Dream Crayon Kingdom Volume 11, times, and Asterisk 18, Band Midnight Panther Volume 2. OVA Mobile Battleship Nadesico, Volume 4 Asterisk and times TV Revolutionary Girl Utenil Apocalypse 3 Asterisk are available on DVD. Upcoming releases include Explosive Brothers Let's and Go, MAX, Volume 9 Asterisk, and times TV Southern Rainbow Lucy, Volume 5 Asterisk on VHS, as well as times LDBOX, Magical Idol Pastel Yumi Flowertown Box on Laserdisc. Guess. ScatY, Perfect TV, and DirecTV Promotions highlight New Century GPX Cyber Formula Saga, starting March 6th, and Asterisk Fist of the North Star on March 5th, which includes the iconic line, "You are already dead." This page is the Point Angels Cathedral section, a reader submission page from Dreamcast Magazine that focuses on pixel art created for the Dreamcast Visual Memory, or VMU. It explains the technical limitations of the VMU screen at 48 by 32 pixels, and invites readers to send in their black and white pixel art creations. The page offers tips for creating effective designs within these constraints, and highlights a featured submission in the Dory's Favorites section. There's a mention of a piece featuring Dreamcast-chan in a bikini, showing the kind of fan art being submitted. This page showcases reader-submitted pixel art creations called .messenger artworks for the Dreamcast Magazine. One section titled .messenger comes to town features artwork possibly called Goshao-gun or Gonaguru, and asks the artist to contact the magazine. Another section shows Puyo Puyo on VM, demonstrating how the portable VMU screen can be used to play Puyo Puyo, mentioning the controls and the possibility of competition. The page also includes a section titled, Next to Descend is You, encouraging readers to create and submit their own pixel art. Another artwork is titled, The Bell of the Cathedral Tolls, depicting a horse, alongside a message expressing condolences for Giant Baba. Paradise Chef, with the subtitle, Slightly Spicy Taste, is another featured pixel art piece, where the artist, Naki from Nara Prefecture, describes their creative process, focusing on color choices and dot art techniques to create depth and balance in the image. Finally, How to Get to the Cathedral of Dots provides instructions for readers on how to submit their pixel art creations to the Dreamcast magazine, including the address for submissions. This page provides instructions on how to fill out a questionnaire postcard for the magazine. It explains how to write clearly in the designated boxes using numbers, and provides examples of good and bad answer formatting. The questionnaire itself covers several areas. It starts by asking for basic demographics like gender, age, and occupation, followed by questions about reading habits of magazines, focusing on what magazines the reader often reads. It then asks about WonderSwan ownership and purchase plans. The questionnaire further probes readers' opinions on articles in the current issue, asking them to select their top 3 most interesting and least interesting articles from a list. It also inquires about the hardware the reader currently owns and hardware they plan to buy, limiting responses to 8 and 5 selections respectively from given lists. Finally, it asks for opinions on the current issue's front cover. The page includes lists of hardware and software titles for both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn, but these are presented as lists without specific reviews or details beyond the game titles. This page is This page is focused on the character Burn from the fighting game Last Bronx. It details his special moves, categorized as super ability techniques, listing 10 moves like Spitfire, Flame Shoot, Burning Trail, Exploder, Triangle Heat, Explosion, Nova Flare Shot, Burst End, and God Phoenix. For each move, the page shows the damage it inflicts and the percentage of gauge it consumes, along with a short description of each attack. It also covers Burn's basic techniques and provides example combo patterns, utilizing weak and strong attacks leading into super ability techniques like Burning Trail. The page emphasizes that Burn excels at quick dashes and close combat combos. This page is a strategy guide for Sonic Adventure, focusing on the final egg stage. It details Eggman's secret base as the setting for the climax of the game, and mentions that the stage is challenging. The guide provides tips for navigating the stage, emphasizing cautious progress. It highlights enemies like Benet, Spina, and Eggkeeper, and warns about spark units. The guide also mentions tricky floor sections, and advises against using homing attacks in certain areas, focusing on careful platforming to avoid falling. It describes the stage as the location of the final battle against Eggman, and encourages players to proceed carefully. This strategy guide for Sonic Adventure's final egg stage details each character's path. Sonic's section covers Burning Festival. Tails' Stop the Eggman focuses on the speed highway. Amy, after rescuing birds, heads to Final Egg. Knuckles seeks the final emerald fragment in Sky Deck. E102, Gamma's mission is to rescue comrades in Hot Shelter, as is Biggs in pursuit of Froggy. The guide also provides 6 final egg point tips. Jump over conveyor belts, navigate a vertical shaft without homing attacks, time jumps to avoid hammers, use homing attacks or the electric barrier against bee enemies, move decisively across floating walkways, and position Sonic in the center of holes for safe elevator passage. This page focuses on Sonic Adventure, and specifically Tails' story within the game. It provides strategy tips for 2 stages, Stage 5, Speed Highway, and Stage 5, Hot Shelter, alongside a boss battle against E105 Zeta. For the Speed Highway stage, the guide emphasizes flying skillfully through the urban environment, navigating between buildings and roads, and utilizing dash rings to take shortcuts. It advises players to disregard enemies and concentrate on maintaining speed to complete the stage efficiently. The Hot Shelter stage highlights the importance of managing the time limit, recommending players to constantly monitor the timer. It suggests quickly and effectively locking onto enemies while also needing to stop the high-speed cargo. Lastly, the page previews the boss encounter with E105 Zeta. The suggested tactic is to destroy all 7 cannons on E105 Zeta, using homing missiles to achieve victory in this boss battle. Screenshots illustrate gameplay within the Speed Highway and Hot Shelter stages, as well as the boss fight against E105 Zeta. This page is a strategy guide for Sonic Adventure, focusing on the stories of Knuckles, Amy, and Big the Cat. For Knuckles' story in Skydeck, the guide highlights controlling the ship's tilt, using levers to navigate, and advises destroying cannons quickly with fighting gloves. Amy's section covers the final egg stage, warning players about the challenging enemy Zero, and recommending the use of the hammer, especially the long hammer item obtained earlier to increase attack range. Big the Cat's part focuses on Hot Shelter, explaining how to catch Froggy using the lure in donut-shaped water tanks and breaking glass to proceed. It also details returning to the water tank with Froggy to access the egg carrier's engine room. This page is all about raising cow in Sonic Adventure on Dreamcast. It's the final part of a special feature on animal parts, and this time focuses on the blue group of animals. The article explains that when you give blue group animals to your cow, its body color might randomly change. They are showcasing examples of chow transformations using koala, moral, and skunk animals, showing the changes to the cow's ears, back, and head. For each animal, they describe the unique characteristics that the cow inherits. For example, the koala chow gets big ears, and the mole chow gets mole-like ears and shovel-like hands. The skunk chow has olive green fur and a skunk-like tail. The text mentions this feature is to teach players about the basic rules of chow raising and encourage them to create their own original cow. It also hints that raising blue group animals will make your garden more colorful. The next page showcases user-created KO from Sonic Adventure. It features different cow variations made by attaching various animal parts, including wings made bigger and wings attached in 2 rows. The page also has a section called Parent Fools Assemble for user submissions, and Dream Magazine Readers Cow Boasting, which displays fan-created cow artwork and designs. One submission is highlighted called Very Cute Amigurumi Chow Arrived, which features a knitted chow toy. Finally, there is a Letter Corner Chow Waiting section encouraging readers to send in their chow creations and thoughts to the magazine, with details on how to submit via mail. This page is part of a beginner's guide to chain combos in Puyo Puyon, known internationally as Puyo Puyo 4. It's lesson 2 of a series. The guide explains fundamental chain combo techniques, highlighting 3 basic patterns: step stacking, sandwiching, and frog stacking, with step stacking and sandwiching being crucial for players to learn. The page includes sections detailing step stacking, sandwiching, and other chain methods, with screenshots illustrating these techniques in gameplay. It provides tips on how to build chains for beginners. There is also a section titled, Is This OK?, which seems to indicate a benchmark of skill in chain building for CPU battles, suggesting that around 5 chain combos is a good starting point for victory. The page also has a stage introduction section, focusing on Stage 9 and the character Harpy, noting her beautiful voice and concert performance. Lastly, there is a character introduction for Harpy, explaining her special ability in Puyo Puyon, which involves changing garbage Puyo into random colors, making it unpredictable for the opponent and requiring strategic play to counter her ability. The next page details special move types in a puzzle game. It breaks down character types into attack, defense, and special categories. Attack-type characters like Skeleton T, Seri, Suketudara, and Dragon are described as being best used proactively to attack the opponent. Defense-type characters, including Arle, Lulu, Draco Centauros, Schizo, Harpy, and Satan-sama, are useful for countering garbage blocks sent by the opponent. They are best used when anticipating or receiving incoming garbage. Special-type characters such as Achan, Noho, Cheizo, Witch, and Panati rely on randomness or luck for their special moves, making them potentially harder to control and use effectively. The page also features a section on Stage 10 focusing on the character Witch and mentions a technique called Fourling Thunder. This page is a special feature celebrating the release of Puyo Puyon, subtitled Paradise. There's a section dedicated to Puyo Puyo fans, mentioning a doubled size or expanded version of something, likely related to the game itself. We've also got an interim report for a Beautiful Girl, Handsome Boy contest, listing the character rankings. Currently in the top spots are Arle and Naja in first place, followed by Schizo and Wiggly in second. Witch, Rulu, and Chico round out the top 5. Finally, there's an installment of Chico's Diary, Part 5, where she recounts a story about gathering herbs with her grandmother and discovering a scenic lake, titled Recommendation of Roadside Herbs. This page is dedicated to reader submissions for the Puyo Puyo series, showcasing fan art and announcing the results of an art contest. The top prize winner's artwork is featured, praised for its watercolor style and character portrayals. Several fan illustrations are presented from different artists across Japan, featuring characters like Kikimora, Schizo, Harpy, and Witch from the Puyo Puyo and Madu Monogatari series, referencing Waku Puyo and Madu Monogatari ARS. Readers are encouraged to continue submitting artwork and participate in the Puyo Puyo Beautiful Girl, Beautiful Boy contest by voting for their favorite characters. The page also mentions an ongoing 108 Chains and Spicy Zazen Puyo Puyo contest and provides submission details, including the address for sending in contributions to Dreamcast Magazine. This page is a special interview about the Dreamcast game Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, with its director, Yoshihisa Tomita. The interview focuses on the game's non-fantasy setting and the enjoyment derived from creating such a world. The game is developed by Sting and published by Sega/ESP, having been released on January 21st for 5,800 yen, and is a single-player game. Yoshihisa Tomita, from Sting's first product development department, explains that they aim to create a new worldview centered around mechanical civilization. He mentions the positive response from players across a wide age range, including women and children. He also addresses user feedback regarding the difficulty of reading complex kanji characters in messages, leading to a realization about balancing stylistic kanji with readability. Tomita highlights the game's unique magicless world concept, contrasting it with typical RPGs. Instead of magic points, the game incorporates a tactical, fighting game-like essence, where players input commands and strategically accumulate points during battles. He also mentions the introduction of new items like Psyframe in this installment, expanding weapon and item options. Screenshots show in-game scenes with characters and dialogues, including a biplane demonstrating the game's mechanical elements within its world. An interview with the developers of Evolution to Far Eden, also known as Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, reveals key design choices. The game features a deliberately deformed character style to enhance expressiveness within polygon limitations, opting for a less realistic aesthetic. RPG elements include an item-focused economy where monsters don't always drop money, a design choice following Sting's tradition. The Mag's loan system is a humorous element with repayment rewards. User feedback highlights a popular Valentine's Day event. The game emphasizes character height differences for visibility. Livenia is the most popular character, known for expressive gestures. A scene shows Mag without his equipment, highlighting attention to detail. Finally, a Continental Railway episode hints at a potentially expansive world and possible sequel connections. This page is an interview feature titled Evolution Special Interview. It delves into the development of event scenes in the game Evolution to Far Eden, highlighting how character height differences influence scene production. The interview also discusses the strengthening of Psyframes in the game and expresses high expectations for a sequel. The interview reveals that developers focused on camera movements and backgrounds to create compelling event scenes, especially considering the varying heights of the characters. They mention scenes like escaping from the Imperial Army and moments where characters interact closely, like Eugene and Linear on a bridge. Another section discusses improvements to the Psyframe system, suggesting enhancements were made for the sequel, and there's anticipation for further development and media expansion of the Evolution world beyond just games. The developers expressed their desire to meet user expectations and explore various media for the franchise. The topics section covers a real-life event called Minisuka Police Evolution Team Appearance. This event, held on February 19th and 26th and broadcast on TV Tokyo, featured 3 cosplayers dressed as characters from Evolution. They participated in a dash race and a quiz game related to Evolution, culminating in the formation of the Evolution team, comprised of Mag, Linear, and Pepper. The recording of the event took place on January 28th. This page is a manga-style comic strip titled Shinkisekai that appears to be a guide or tutorial for a game. It stars 2 cartoon characters, one a blonde girl and the other a boy with goggles and brown hair, who seem to be learning about game mechanics. The comic shows the girl explaining strategies and game elements to the boy, using diagrams and examples. They discuss concepts like waiting time, defense, items, attack, and special moves. There's a section about prioritizing defense and items before attack. The comic seems to illustrate combat tactics, with panels showing action sequences and explosions. The characters are discussing how to effectively use special moves and items to defeat enemies, emphasizing the importance of timing and understanding enemy weaknesses. They also talk about parameter boosts and power-ups. The final panels show the boy understanding the lessons and thanking the girl, suggesting a successful tutorial session. The text at the bottom mentions Evo fans and a battle lecture, indicating this is aimed at players of a specific game or genre, focusing on combat and strategy within that game. It mentions learning the knack for special moves and learning combat tactics. This page spotlights Masao Masutani, the producer from NEC Home Electronics, and Yoko Kuroyanagi, the KNEP designer, who are described as the birth parents of the Turb world. They are the creators of the Sengoku Turb series, originally a free PC-98 game, and are now working on a Dreamcast version called Sengoku Turb Jinotai DX. The article mentions they are also known by the nicknames Sheep Doctor and Naren Hakase, and are featured in a deluxe version of Jinotai. It also mentions reader presents, specifically a knitted toy of Neko Commander was sent to Kuroyanagi. This page showcases fan art submissions for a game called Turb, in a feature titled Submissions Artisan Craftsman's Ridge. The editorial team, including Sheep Doctor and Nanar Doctor, are reviewing and commenting on the artwork. Several illustrations are featured, depicting characters like Gelsomina from Sengoku Turb, and another character called Sakura-san. One illustration of Gelsomina is described as having a gel-like and super cute appearance. Sakura-san's illustration from Sakuragi Prefecture is noted for its vivid colors and good layout, with the editorial team highlighting the cool look of the robot in the artwork. Another submission depicts a 15-year-old's interpretation of a character, described as a doll, with plump, doll-like beauty. Character. This character, from Kochi Prefecture, is depicted in a flowing dress. There's also a submission from Tokyo, showing a scene with lots of painted tools, emphasizing the weight and impact of the artwork. The editorial team praises the creativity and skill of the fan artists, noting the various interpretations of the TURB characters. They also discuss the freedom players have in interpreting game characters, and express gratitude for the many submissions received. They mention enjoying seeing different art styles and interpretations, and appreciate the effort fans put into their creations. This Dreamcast Magazine illustration corner page explores character design preferences and fan engagement. Developers discuss popular Dreamcast character designs, noting a trend towards cool characters with taller proportions and expressive animation, like Nanoray Doctor, who evolved dynamically. The interview contrasts these with earlier, less dynamic designs like Sheep Doctor. Developers also share their character preferences, highlighting visually striking characters like God of Irayon, with translucent wings. The page features reader feedback, including embarrassing stories in Incompetent Lamentation Corner. It also showcases fan devotion to the character Bon Bon, with a dedicated Bon Bon Fans Generation section displaying fan letters, illustrations, and mentions of the character's emotional response to fan support. The page effectively blends developer insights into the design process with a celebration of fan enthusiasm. This page showcases an enthusiastic project focused on creating merchandise for the TURB game series, specifically Battle Country TURB. Readers have sent in various humorous and quirky ideas for TURB goods. One reader suggests omanju Japanese sweets in TURB flavors, while another proposes a standing sleeping bag shaped like a character. A glasses case is also humorously suggested. Other reader ideas include Bonbo-san's voice merchandise, possibly a talking toy, and a Neko helmet, a sturdy cat-themed helmet that doubles as a piggy bank. Further ideas are for a lunchbox pack bear and Neko and Shogun figures, described as stable and practical items. Editors discuss the reader enthusiasm and the possibility of creating these goods, mentioning existing PC TURB titles like Battle Country TURB, TURB 1, 2, and 3. They emphasize that merchandise creation depends on user support and interest. The page also invites reader submissions for letters and illustrations related to TURB. This page focuses on the Dreamcast Visual Memory Unit, or VMU, as part of a Dreamcast Peripherals story series. It is described as a small box connecting dreams, and delves into the unknown truths surrounding it. The article is titled Visual Memory, and discusses the VMU as more than just a memory card, highlighting its play and communication concept, positioning it as an accessory that expands the Dreamcast experience. The text details technical specifications of the HKT 7000 model, including its CPU, screen resolution, memory capacity, and price. It elaborates on the play and communication idea, suggesting that the VMU is intended for more than just saving game data, hinting at telecommunications and network expansion. It emphasizes the VMU as a core component of a new system, offering new ways to play and communication opportunities, setting it apart from standard memory cards and opening up new possibilities for gaming. The Dreamcast's Visual Memory Unit, VMU, originated from the desire to include a screen on a portable device, evolving into a multifunctional accessory. Sega's second development department, led by Mr. Tazaki, conceived the VMU around late 1996 alongside the controller design. It was designed to manage game content, display information, and function as a standalone mini-console. Key development choices included screen resolution, with the team researching existing handheld consoles. The team settled on a 48 by 32 dot resolution after initially considering options akin to a Tamagotchi. The goal was to make the VMU a fashionable accessory, akin to a watch. The final design prioritized visual expression despite limitations, seeking to offer more than just memory storage, thus extending the Dreamcast experience. The next page is about the Dreamcast Visual Memory, or VM, and its design philosophy. The article discusses the design process, focusing on user feedback and technical challenges. It highlights the aim to integrate all functionalities into a single chip. Key questions addressed include why it's 8-bit, the need for 2 batteries, and why there's no lid for the connector. The article dives into the technical aspects of the VM, like memory size, battery life considerations for sound features, and design choices to balance performance and battery consumption. It also mentions the desire to keep the VM small while maintaining usability and readability of the LCD screen, including the button layout and direction pad design. The article emphasizes the user-centric design process and the iterative testing that led to the final product. This page details the design story of the Dreamcast Visual Memory Unit, VMU. It discusses the initial design concept, aiming to create a fashionable item that is part of fashion. The design process involved considering how the VMU would connect to the Dreamcast controller, and the initial idea was to have the connector on the bottom. The team also wanted to make sure that you could still play games while the VMU was connected. The article mentions that the design went through changes and that the final design placed the connector on top. They aimed for a simple and easy-to-use design. The article highlights the VMU as a fashionable portable game machine and shows various prototype designs and color variations, including carbon black and camouflage patterns. The page also teases a feature called Puru Puru Paku, which seems to be related to vibration or rumble functionality, and hints at more details about this in the next issue, suggesting it's a secret feature of the VMU. It also talks about getting VMUs as rewards through a Dreamcast point bank system. This page is all about creating your own Dreamcast homepage using GeoCities. It explains that Dreamcast users can now easily make their own websites to share their passion. The article encourages users to decide on a theme for their page and to start simple, focusing on content before getting bogged down with guestbooks and message boards. It also gives tips on how to attract visitors by registering with search engines like Yahoo and InfoSeek. Regarding images, it mentions that while Dreamcast itself can't display images directly on a web page, they are used in the PC versions of these homepages. The page highlights Clubhouse KAZ as a great example, which is a soccer-focused homepage featuring player information and links to official sites. There's a table showcasing various user-created Dreamcast GeoCities pages, including handles like Shakit KF, Magio, Bose, Kino, Toss, Nyoto, La Stella, Sin, and KAZ Round. These pages cover a range of topics, from soccer information and J-League support to mystery spots, techno music, Final Fantasy VIII popularity polls, music-centric pages, and participant-driven corners. Finally, it gives an email address for users to apply to have their own Dreamcast homepages featured. This page is a guide on how to create your own Dreamcast-style homepage using HTML. It presents an index HTML template and breaks down the essential parts of a basic web page. The tutorial covers setting up the title section, the main content area, menu links, and email links. It explains how to use HTML tags to structure these elements within a table layout, giving tips on using table tags for visual enhancements like cell spacing and padding to create a visually appealing web page. This page showcases Sunrise Robot of CG World, Volume 5, focusing on the Sunrise Heroine Chronicle, and features the Armored Trooper Votum series, specifically the ATM-09GC Bluish Dog. This mecha is described as a custom scoop dog made for the perfect soldier, Fianna. The page provides details about the Bluish Dog, stating it appeared in episode 52 of the anime and was developed under the codename Armadator Uber. It emphasizes that while based on the scoop dog, it has enhanced specifications and is tailored for Fianna. Key differences highlighted are the claw on the right arm for close combat and a Gatling gun for medium to long-range attacks. There is a data section that lists specifications such as height and weight, along with special moves and pilot information. The page also touches upon the CG scanning model used to create the Bluish Dog, aiming for realistic poses and detailed part separation. No games are mentioned on this page. This page is about the Mega Drive game Rent a Hero, which is described as a flashback Mega Drive title, an action RPG developed by Sega AM8. The page highlights it as a parodic, modern-day set RPG known for its unique style. It mentions the development team, including members from Fighters Megamix on Sega Saturn, and the music composer Hiroshi Kawaguchi. The page also previews Rent a Hero Returns for the Dreamcast, mentioning that at the Tokyo Game Show on March 20th and 21 Stone, they're encouraging people to ask Sega booth staff about Rent-A-Hero returns. There's a section called This Week is Text Power-Up Week, which seems to be a reader submission section, encouraging readers to send in postcards and text submissions. They are looking for absolute purchase declarations for a Dreamcast version, aiming for 100,000 declarations. There are also user illustrations and comments included. The page features a reader's corner called Gather Rent-A-Hero Lovers, seeking user submissions like illustrations and text. It lists names of people who are recognized as club members for their contributions. These members include names like Idaten, Yusuke, Kiyomi Aizumi, and others. The page also features a section discussing the game's appeal, mentioning that while it's not a major RPG, it has something unique. It mentions a user suggesting Square should participate in the Dreamcast. This page is the front cover of Sega Saturn magazine from March 19, 1999. It highlights the contents of the issue, including the Satamaga Grand Prix, which is the 4th annual reader-voted Best Sega Saturn Games of 1998. The magazine features sections like Sega Saturn Magazine Data Station, Sega Saturn Reader Race, and Tato Journal. A special report section is included, alongside previews of upcoming games such as Darby Stallion, Shanjian Shi Xia Zuan, Sword and Fairy, and Idol Janshi Suchipai Secret Album. Finally, there is a complete guide section for Dungeons & Dragons collection. The cover image features a Sega Saturn console and controller. Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, won the 1998 Sega Saturn Magazine Grand Prix, receiving 7,851 votes. The game also secured victories in Best Scenario, Best Music, and Best Female Voice Actress categories. Developed by Sega and Red Company, the game is a dramatic adventure set in Taisho-era Japan, where the Imperial Combat Review battles the Black Demon Society. The game offers branching paths and simulation elements, and follows in the footsteps of the original Sakura Wars, which won the Grand Prix in 1996. The article emphasizes the series' high quality, and encourages readers to play the series. This page is a congratulatory page from Sega Saturn Magazine Grand Prix 1998, celebrating Sakura Wars 2 winning the Grand Prix award. It features comments from 2 key figures involved in the game's production. The first comment is from Hiroi Oji, the Sakura Wars Red Company producer. He expresses his joy at Sakura Wars 2 receiving the Grand Prix, including awards for scenario, music, and Best Actress. He shares an anecdote about celebrating the win by drinking cola alone at Sugiya restaurant, and calling his mother late at night to share the news. He emphasizes his happiness about working with Kohei Tanaka on the music, and expresses gratitude to the staff and cast, viewing the award as a stepping stone for future Sakura Wars projects. The second comment comes from Uoba Noriyoshi, the development producer of Sakura Wars 2. He thanks the readers for their support in awarding Sakura Wars the Grand Prix. He humorously describes the game's development as hellish days, but acknowledges the hard work of the staff. He mentions the vast number of events and branching paths in the game, and the dedication to hand-drawn animation, LOPAC. He also highlights the addition of new cinematic elements, and addresses the challenging AI in the battle sections, which led to the inclusion of a battle demonstration mode. He concludes by thanking everyone and requesting continued support for the Sakura Wars series. The Sega Saturn Grand Prix 1998 awards, voted by readers, recognized the top 15 games. Sakura Wars 2 took first place with 2,761 votes, followed by Chunsoft's sound novel, Machi, with 703 votes, and Sega's Panzer Dragoon AZL, Panzer Dragoon RPG, with 526 votes. Screenshots showcased Makachi's visual novel style and Panzer Dragoon AZEL's 3D gameplay. Chunsoft developers expressed gratitude, highlighting Machuchi's unique focus on character drama. Sega's team thanked fans and noted Panzer Dragoon AZEL's RPG shift and substantial content. Other notable games in the top 15 included Mobile Suit Gundam, The Battlemaster 2, Shining Force 2, I, Scenario 3, Super Robot Wars F Final Chapter, and Lunar 2, Eternal Blue. This page announces the Sega Saturn Grand Prix 1998 award winners, highlighting the Best Scenario Award and the Best Female Character Award. Sakura Taisen 2, Thou Shalt Not Die wins the Best Scenario Award. The game is described as a dramatic adventure with simulation elements, where building trust with heroines in the adventure part is key to success in the simulation part. The scenario writer, Satoru Akahori, expresses his happiness and acknowledges the team effort behind the scenario. Sakura Shinguji from Sakura Taisen 2 is awarded the best female character. Character designer Kuen Matsubara thanks fans and expresses joy at Sakura's win, comparing her to a daughter and hoping for continued support. He describes working on Sakura Taisen as being like putting on a show, full of glamour and brightness, supported by the backstage staff. The rankings for the best scenario continue with Makachi, Shining Force 2, I, Azel, Panzer Dragoon RPG, Black Matrix, Lunar 2, Eternal Blue, Pia Carrot, EU Koso, 2, Super Robot Wars F, Final Chapter, Cross Tante Monogatari, Motsureta 7 Suno Labyrinth, and Langrisser Vifi, The End of Legend. The rankings. The rankings for Best Female Character after Sakura Shinguji include Azel, Lucia, Reni Milchstrasse, Azusa Hinomori, Rurili Hoshino, Arle Naja, Lambda, Linda, and the heroine from Chaos Seed. Reader comments at the bottom discuss the state of Saturn gaming in 1998, mentioning titles like Vampire Savior, Burning Rangers, and Cross. They reflect on hardware changes and game quality, sharing opinions and hopes for future releases and sequels. The Sega Saturn Magazine Grand Prix 1998 Awards recognize the best music and male character on the platform. Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die won Best Music with 1853 votes, celebrated for its musical score and integration of song shows. Burning Rangers and AZL Panzer Dragoon RPG followed. Tanaka Kohei, the music composer, expressed gratitude. Sagata Sanshiro from Sagata Sanshiro Shinken Yugi won Best Male Character with 1456 votes, followed by Ogami Ichiro, Sakura Wars 2, and Giren Zabi, Mobile Suit Gundam, Giren's Greed. Fujio Ogaka, representing Sagata Sanshiro, described him as irreplaceable and encouraged serious engagement with the character's spirit. Game descriptions and screenshots of the two winning games are included, highlighting Sakura Wars 2's musical prowess and Sagata Sanshiro Shinken Yugi's heroic portrayal of its main character. A Dreamcast software giveaway winners list concludes the feature. The Sega Saturn Magazine Grand Prix 1998 awarded AZL Panzer Dragoon RPG for Best Graphics, with Sakura Wars 2 and Pia Carrot e Yukoso 2 following. Konomi Gaku, director of AZEL, highlighted the game's technical achievements in maximizing Saturn's potential. Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter won Best Transplant, followed by Vampire Savior and Pia Carrot e Yukoso 2 again. E.G. Nagata of Capcom credited the 4MB RAM cartridge for the success of Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter. The editorial thanked readers, announced the winners, and hinted at a potential Dream Magazine Grand Prix 99. This page is a Sega Saturn data station, revealing the top 10 best-selling games where Girl Doll Toy takes the lead, followed by Slayers Royal 2 and Sentimental Graffiti. The page also lists the top 10 most anticipated new games, topped by Sonic 3D, Flicky's Island, with Yu Mitsu Mete Itai, and Friends, Seishun no Kagayaki. A release schedule further details upcoming titles like The House of the Dead, Sega Saturn Collection, Derby Stallion, and Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3 Song of Departure, showcasing both classic re-releases and brand new games planned for the Sega Saturn. This page showcases the Sega Saturn Readers' Race, a popularity poll for Saturn games. It's presented as a weekly ranking in volume 131 of a magazine. The poll emphasizes that it's based on reader votes for all released Saturn software, aiming to reflect real-time popularity. The top-ranked game is Yuno, A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World, followed by Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, and Guardian Heroes. The list includes a wide variety of genres, from adventure and strategy RPGs to action and shooting games. The commentary section highlights the intense competition at the top, specifically mentioning Chaos Seed, Thunder Force V, and Cross Tante Monogatari as notable titles. It also points out that recent popular games like Cross Tante Monogatari are gaining momentum and worthy of attention. The overall message is that the Saturn scene remains vibrant and exciting. This page spotlights the Sega Saturn title Layer section, known internationally as Ray Force or Galactic Attack, a vertical scrolling shooter. The game received very high praise, scoring a 9.1037 from readers and an 8.66 from the magazine itself. The review emphasizes the game's unique lock-on laser mechanic and its challenging no bomb, no wall, no compromise design philosophy, requiring skillful play. The reviewer highlights the game's artistic sound effects and its immersive world. The developer's commentary expresses gratitude for the positive reception and points out features like the top-down perspective, the satisfaction of destroying enemies with the lock-on laser, and the non-stop stages progressing from space to inside a fortress. They emphasize the unique fun and enjoyment the game offers compared to other shooters. Screenshots showcase intense gameplay with enemies and impressive boss encounters, and the biological laser trajectory is noted as influential on other companies. The overall impression is that Layer Section provides a very pure and demanding shooting experience that is both artistically impressive and deeply engaging, requiring players to master its mechanics for a rewarding challenge. This page is a Sega Saturn game ranking chart, listing a vast number of titles with scores and genres. It seems to be ordered by popularity or rating. Among the highly ranked games you can see titles like Virtua Fighter CG Portrait Series, Daytona USA, Sega Rally Championship, Panzer Dragoon, Clockwork Knight, Sonic Wings Special, Virtua Cop, Fighters Megamix, and Guardian Heroes. Other notable games in the list include Astal, Burning Rangers, Street Fighter 03, Princess Crown, Radiant Silvergun, Shining Force 2i, Grandia, Sakura Taisen 2, and Deep Fear. It's a comprehensive overview of popular Saturn games at the time, giving a snapshot of player preferences. This page features reader-driven rankings and contests for Sega Saturn and Dreamcast. The left side displays an odds table ranking Saturn games, while the right side ranks Saturn peripherals. Reader participation includes discussions on horse racing games. The page then highlights two Dreamcast contests. The first invites predictions for the ranking of Kita E, White Illumination, and the second asks for score predictions for Real Sound, Kazi No Regret. Prizes include a desired game. A DC joystick and visual memory section displays the prizes for a lottery, a Dreamcast arcade stick, and a visual memory unit, plus a chosen game. Readers can enter by sending postcards with predictions and desired game titles, with a deadline of March 11th. Example reader predictions are shown. This page is a Sega Saturn special report, focusing on the horse racing simulation game, Derby Stallion. It highlights that the game is 95% complete and is set to be released on March 25th, published by ASC2, and priced at 6,800 yen. The article describes the game as being in its final stages of development, with the editorial team receiving a sample ROM. The text evokes the atmosphere of horse racing, mentioning the return horse phase before a race and the entrance march music, suggesting the game is close to being ready and capturing the excitement of the sport. The image shows a scene of horse racing with a jockey on a horse and another person leading it. This page is dedicated to the Sega Saturn version of Derby Stallion, a horse racing and training simulation game. It highlights the new features of this latest installment in the series. A key improvement is the increase to 18 horses in races, bringing it in line with real-world derby events, and the frame rate has been enhanced for smoother visuals. The game boasts a roster of 50 new stallions, including popular horses like Tokai Teo and Biwa Hayahide, and significantly expands the breeding mare selection with 146 new additions. The game also updates the race program to reflect the 19,981,999 season, incorporating real-world race names and schedules. A welcome new feature for Saturn players is the auto-save function, which automatically saves game progress to cartridge RAM at the end of each week, simplifying game management compared to previous versions where manual saving was necessary and resetting during races was common practice to avoid bad outcomes. The page also features screenshots illustrating a race in progress, narrating the race progression from the start, through the turns, and into the final stretch, emphasizing the excitement of a close finish. This page is a guide to the Sega Saturn horse racing simulation game, Derby Stallion. The primary goal is to win all GI races through breeding and racing horses. Players begin with mares and a budget, and the gameplay centers around raising racehorses. Options include purchasing young horses or breeding foals, training them to race. Training involves conditioning horses for races, starting with lower-level races and progressing to graded and GI races. Training methods include turf, dirt, wood chip, hill, and pool courses, each impacting speed, stamina, and leg health differently. Omakase Training offers automated training for convenience. The page also notes that different trainers have distinct training styles, with a focus on the Fujieda training stable, known for prioritizing horse welfare and high winning percentages. Derby Stallion is a horse racing simulation game where players manage a farm, breed racehorses, and compete in races. Farm management involves raising foals until they're ready for the stable. Pastures allow horses to recover from fatigue or injury, with options like hot springs for enhanced healing. Breeding is central to the game, with strategic combinations crucial for strong offspring. 3 breeding strategies are highlighted: inbreeding, enhancing traits but with potential weaknesses; mix combination, breeding horses with compatible sire lines; and interesting combination, combining diverse ancestry lines. Players can watch their horses race, check conditions, and even bet on other races. The game features visuals of farm, pasture, breeding screens, and advice-giving characters. This page is a report titled Tsuchiraka Rider K's Derby Stallion Diary, detailing a writer's experience playing Derby Stallion on Sega Saturn. Presented as diary entries from February 22nd to February 26th, the writer recounts being tasked by the editorial department to create a report on the game. Initially enthusiastic, they quickly become engrossed in Derby Stallion, documenting their gameplay from breeding horses to racing and managing finances. The diary entries mention moments of bankruptcy and eventual victory. We see screenshots from the game, including menus and race results. The writer describes getting absorbed by the game to the point of almost forgetting their deadline, illustrating the engaging nature of Derby Stallion. Derby Stallion is a horse breeding simulation game lauded for its depth and strategic gameplay, drawing a wide audience beyond just racing fans. The game's core appeal stems from a blend of chance and strategy, where players breed and train horses, facing the stark reality of potential horse mortality, which significantly heightens emotional investment. Described as a cosmos in the palm of your hand, the game simulates the unpredictable nature of horse development and racing, influencing abilities, outcomes, and injuries. Players can pursue diverse goals, from dominating races to casual enjoyment. Screenshots depict dramatic race scenes and potential setbacks. The game blurs the line between digital data and real-world horse ownership. The article encourages players to experience the immersive world by raising at least one horse. This page is an advertisement for the upcoming Sega Saturn game, The Legend of Sword and Fairy, a love-romance RPG from Taiwan, set in a beautiful fantasy world inspired by ancient China. The game is presented as a grand RPG adventure where you can form a party of up to 3 characters to explore a mystical ancient China. The story is focused on a young boy named Ryo Yo-Yo, who embarks on a journey to find a mother for the mysterious and beautiful girl Chao Reiji. Along the way, he will encounter martial arts masters like Rin Getsuyo and the enchanting witch princess Abija, leading to a love story involving 4 characters. The game emphasizes story and character development, and the battle system includes features like automatic HP per megapixel recovery and the ability to save and load anywhere, eliminating tedious trips back to town. The screenshot shows the battle interface with character stats, commands, and equipment slots. Developed by a major Taiwanese game maker, the PC version sold 180,000 copies. The Saturn version retains the unique Asian flavor and orthodox system of the PC game, promising a captivating story experience. The game is published by Softstar Entertainment Inc. and is scheduled for release on March 4th at a price of 5,800 yen. It is recommended for all ages and described as a work that makes you feel a nostalgic familiarity. This page introduces the Sega Saturn game, Senkutsu Katsugeki, Reiki Dushi, highlighting its simple battle system and rich event scenes. The battle system is described as engaging monsters on the field and using weapon attacks, items, and magic through selectable icons. The game is presented as a dramatic adventure set in a mysterious and fantastical world. The page details plot events, starting with the protagonist, a young man training in martial arts, and events on a mysterious island where he meets a girl. The story follows him trying to save his family and his love interest, encountering trials and tribulations. It mentions themes of joy, emotion, wonder, and bravery. Screenshots show gameplay both on the field and in battles, as well as dialogue scenes with characters. The text boxes in screenshots reveal snippets of conversations and character interactions, including a scene where the protagonist's sister informs him of a dangerous situation involving their grandmother. The page suggests a compelling narrative with dramatic moments. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Saturn game Idol Janshi Tsuchipai. It highlights the secret album, which appears to be a variety disc, packed with content related to the Tsuchipai series. The page mentions that this software is a variety disc filled with graphics from the Tsuchi series that has appeared on Saturn so far. It notes that while Mahjong isn't included, there are 2 mini-games and a word collection, giving it a homepage-like feel with a visual browser. There are sections detailing Tsuchi Dictionary, which is described as a word collection to learn about the Tsuchi characters. Another section is Limchan's Tsuchi Cult Q, a quiz game where you answer questions from Lilim. 2 specific games are advertised. Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Special, released on February 24, 1995, and priced at 6,900 yen. It's described as a simple arcade port, but with completely different graphics and systems. It's noted to have a MA18 age rating, which was unusual at the time. Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Remix, released on September 29, 1995, for 6,900 yen, it also has an MA18 age rating, indicated as X, 18 prohibited. It's stated that the system is the same as Remix, but the biggest difference is the faithfulness to Mr. N's original drawings. The text includes character introductions and comments from the characters, like Yuki, promoting the game and its content. This page is all about the Sega Saturn game Idol Janshi Tsuchipai 2. It highlights a Waku Waku Chodo chat feature, where you can chat with Tsuchipai and other characters like Yuki-chan and Miuri-chan in real time, influenced by the Saturn's clock. There's an interview with Kenichi Sonoda, the character designer, discussing his work on the game's visuals, which uses actual video footage. The Tsuchipai gallery shows off the graphics from the Saturn Tsuchipai games, emphasizing the visual quality. Idol Janshi Tsuchipai 2 itself is detailed as a 2-disc set, costing 7,800 yen, released on April 26, 1996. It's a mahjong game with an age rating of 18, and features a story where you save Princess Shiho from the Ikasama Mahjong army, unlocking a special Tsuchi Yuki mode after clearing the game. There's also information on Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Adventure Doki Doki Nightmare, an adventure game coming out on February 26, 1998, for 6,800 yen as a 2-disc set, also rated 18. In this game, you play as the protagonist investigating strange events in Kyuko's town, and can go on dates with girls if you succeed in protecting them. Finally, Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Mecha Genteiban, a limited edition for 7,800 yen, released on November 26, 1998, as a 3-disc set, includes Remix and 2 arranged versions, a brand new adventure game on Disc 3, a free battle mode where you can play against all the girls, plus bonus content and special packaging. This page for Dungeons & Dragons collection is a strategy guide. It highlights basic tactics, advising players to use continuous attacks effectively and to not simply mash buttons. It details how to counter after a guard, emphasizing that guarding isn't foolproof against all attacks, especially from bosses. The guide also explains the concept of invincible time after guarding or getting up, a mechanic from the first game, Tower of Doom. Character classes are outlined: the fighter with strong close combat and reach, the elf with magic and speed but low defense, the dwarf with high attack and HP but short range and slow movement, and the cleric as a valuable support with healing and strong magic. Finally, the page briefly touches on item management using a window, and how to transfer money between players in multiplayer by overlaying hand graphics and using the item button. This page is a strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game Guardian Heroes. It provides tips for players navigating the game, focusing on choices between going to the mountain or town, suggesting the mountain route offers more items. The guide highlights that the town route has more enemies and higher difficulty. It gives advice on defeating common enemies, specifically noting that towns have weaker but numerous enemies, while mountains have stronger skeletons. Strategies are detailed for boss battles against the ogre and manticore, recommending ranged attacks and oil items respectively. The guide also mentions a scenario where you rescue traveling merchants and another where you help a tired girl, along with progressing to the capital city of Daroken. It also touches on using magic effectively in combat. This guide provides combat strategies for the Sega Saturn version of Dungeons & Dragons Shadows over Mystara. It offers tips for 6 character classes. The fighter and elf benefit from continuous slashes, dash slashes, and aerial attacks. The thief, unique to this version, can steal items and utilizes jump attacks and backdashes. The dwarf prioritizes high damage attacks and maintaining a medium distance. The cleric uses continuous and dash slashes, leveraging enhanced but slower, turning undead abilities. The magic user relies on items and knife attacks, with powerful magic scrolls compensating for weak melee. Jump and backdashes are crucial escape options for the magic user. This page is a strategy guide focusing on magic and early-stage walkthroughs in the game Dungeons & Dragons: Shadow over Mystara. It explains the characteristics of magic attacks, particularly for magic users and elves. The guide details how magic attacks can stop time on screen, offering a tactical advantage. It then discusses specific high-frequency magic spells for magic users, including Magic Missile, Lightning Bolt, and Ice Storm, detailing their effects and when to use them effectively. For elves, the guide focuses on the Ice Storm spell and its strategic uses in battles, especially against bosses. The page then moves into a Stage 12 walkthrough, Broken Land North Mountain Range, guiding players through the initial village rescue and goblin encounters. It highlights points of interest like hidden rooms and advises on combat strategies against goblins and goblin chariots, suggesting to attack chariots from behind and use Elf's Skyfall attack. The guide also mentions that recovery potions can be found in treasure chests. This page is an advertisement for the official Sonic Adventure Navigation Guidebook. It highlights the book as being released soon and details its contents, which include basic system explanations, character actions, item locations, enemy strategies, and a special bonus cow-raising album. The book is priced at 1,300 yen, excluding tax, and is a 5 size with 160 pages, all in full color. This page announces the winners of the Teige Kigurafu telecard present from a Dreamcast Magazine lottery, which was a bonus for the first edition of the Teige Kigurafu publication. Hiroi Oji, a representative of Red Company, talks about the lottery and mentions that he personally selected the winners for the telephone cards, and those who won are very lucky. The item presented to 400 lucky winners is a rare telephone card featuring artwork by Kusuke Fujishima of a character from Teige Kigurafu. It's described as a super rare teleka called Public Phone Prepaid Card. For those who unfortunately didn't win the teleka, there's another chance to get a prize. A Teige Kigurafu official guidebook, signed by Hiroi Oji, is being offered to readers of Dreamcast Magazine who apply. Application details and the deadline, March 18th, are also provided. The page also lists some of the winners of the telecard present. This page of Imperial Capital Journal, Issue 11, is dedicated to a Maria special feature. The editor is happy with this edition and mentions wanting to take toys to the park with kids and mothers now that the weather is warmer, even suggesting having tea at the park. The page showcases fan-submitted illustrations of Maria in a competition format, with a high competition ratio of about 5.2 times. Illustrations are from different regions of Japan and feature diverse artistic styles. Some illustrations include game references, like a Sakura Wars parody illustration featuring Maria and other characters playing ping pong, and another with a Dreamcast logo and text about Dreamcast Maria. Illustrators and their regions mentioned include Mie Prefecture Sakumin Taro, Hokkaido Nakamura Shiba, Kashi Michinoku, Fukuoka Prefecture Raika, Oita Prefecture Hanaho, Tokyo, Fujinami Kaoru, Kanagawa Prefecture Ogawa Tomoko, Tokyo Tsukishima Akio, Fukuoka Prefecture Hanazaki Ren. There is also a section called Warabi City's Taiko Maria Edition at the bottom right, suggesting local fan involvement, or another segment related to Maria in the Warabi City area. The next page is dedicated to a special fan feature for Kikunojo from Sakura Wars, appealing to fans across the country. This section is called Taito Journal and showcases fan submissions themed around different prefectures of Japan. Several fan pieces are highlighted from Osaka, Tokyo, Tochigi, Fukuoka, Saitama, Chiba, Ibaraki, Kagoshima, and Ehime prefectures, each likely containing fan art or letters related to Sakura Wars characters and scenarios. The page includes mentions of Seryuin Captain and the Rose Troop, which are elements from the Sakura Wars universe. Valentine's Day and White Day themes are also apparent, suggesting seasonal fan contributions. One section titled, Annie, Take Up Your Pen, discusses the subtitle style for Sakura Wars 2. It mentions gathering fan opinions on whether they prefer subtitles to be like movie subtitles, and seeks feedback to improve the game's presentation. This page showcases Arcade Express Volume 44, highlighting the new arcade title, Gigawing by Capcom. It introduces Gigawing as a new type of shooting game, and emphasizes its unique scoring system, stating that just clearing stages will earn massive points, like 600 million, but players need to collect multiplier items to maximize their score and stage clear bonuses. The page mentions the Reflect Force system as a new feature, allowing players to reflect enemy bullets to counterattack. It also notes that score and glory are guaranteed, implying high score chasing is central to the gameplay. A character design section introduces Kei Tume as the character designer, known for works like Kurogane and Hitsuji no Uta, highlighting their unique style for creating the world of Gigawing. The story section is briefly touched upon, mentioning that in 194X, ancient weapons from Medallion caused a Second World War to escalate, and that 4 Wings of Hope took flight to the skies, suggesting a dramatic narrative backdrop. The page includes screenshots of the game in action, showing intense shooting gameplay. There are also sections mentioning gameplay details like 3-button configuration, 2-player simultaneous play, and CPSYSTEM2 arcade hardware. Gigawing is a shooting game featuring 2 key mechanics. Reflect Force, activated by holding the shot button, creates an invulnerable shield that deflects enemy fire and transforms reflected bullets into score-boosting items. The game also features the Force Bomb, a screen-clearing attack that provides temporary invincibility and can be replenished. The Ruby character's Force Bomb is noted for its firepower. The game features several pilots with diverse backstories and motivations. Raiden seeks revenge, Carmine wants to protect orphans, and Vieda Stunt fights against the stones that transformed his wife. Porchachka and Aisha, both raised in military environments, fight to rediscover their emotions and help others. Stuck, a cyborg, is the final playable character. This page features Capcom's Hello, Capcom section, highlighting 2 games. Firstly, there's a preview of Dino Crisis, a panic horror title for PlayStation, described as a spiritual successor to the Bio series, which is Resident Evil. It mentions the game's development announcement, focusing on the fear of dinosaurs and cinematic presentation. Next, the page covers Power Stone 2 under the title Power Stone Volume 2. There is a developer comment section offering gameplay advice, focusing on strategic play, using transformations and power-ups. Finally, there is a D&D Collection Release Celebration Illustration special feature, showcasing fan art for Dungeons & Dragons games, with names and locations of the artists including Osaka/Deo, Toyama/Amapu, Kanagawa/Senishiura, Yamaguchi/Nishizaki Ryuku, Kanagawa/OEC Heart-G, and Miyagi/Ben Shrine. This section seems to be a showcase of illustrations submitted by readers for the release of the D&D collection. The illustrations are themed around Dungeons & Dragons characters. This page is a special feature titled, The World Time Stops. Special feature, which is all about utilizing time-stopping abilities in the fighting game, JoJo's Venture, known internationally as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It focuses on 3 characters, Jotaro, Dio, and Shadow Dio, and explains their time-stop moves. The page details the commands for each character's time-stop, noting that they consume gauge and have varying gauge requirements. It also gives gameplay tips for each character, suggesting that Jotaro's time-stop is best used when the opponent jumps in, Dio's is effective after throws, and Shadow Dio's is harder to predict, emphasizing using his Space Ripper Stingy Eyes move to set up time-stops. There are also tips about using thrown knives during time stop and avoiding getting behind the opponent during Dio's time stop, as it can make the screen confusing. This page details Sega AM3's development of LA Machine Guns, a successor to Gunblade NY. The project involved producer Juro Watari, director Yoshitaka Maeyama, and assistant director Shoichiro Kanazawa. The team shifted their target audience to overseas markets, aiming to create a more universally appealing experience. They enhanced the score attack gameplay of Gunblade, focusing on dynamic AI-controlled enemies and improved live-action elements. A major challenge was refining the camera system to avoid issues with terrain and unexpected enemy appearances. The game features 2 AI systems, one for enemies and another for player attacks. Screenshots showcase the game's action and visual style. This webpage features articles about an unknown game. One article confirms the manga Initial D inspired AE86 car purchases. Another discusses the game's challenging and unpredictable AI, crucial for gameplay. The game's stage variation is also highlighted, with locations like Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco. Developers emphasize the essence of score attack, which is the main focus of the game, redesigned to a system-based scoring system. A giveaway for LA Machine Guns windbreakers is advertised. This page from the Sega AMR&D Department No. 1 official corner focuses on providing score attack strategies for the House of the Dead 2. It highlights two main approaches to playing for score: the normal route and the riskier, life-risking route. The normal route emphasizes saving civilians to ensure you have plenty of life and can reach bonus stages, whereas the life-risking route is all about maximizing enemy kills from the start, even if it means sacrificing civilians. The article details the route choices at branching points in the first and second chapters, illustrated with diagrams, and provides tips for both playstyles, showing in-game screenshots of scores and gameplay to demonstrate the strategies. The core message is to choose your approach based on whether you prioritize survival and bonus stages or high-risk, high-reward zombie slaying for top scores. This page is all about maximizing your score in Dynamite Cop, known as Die Hard Arcade 2 internationally, on the Dreamcast. It gives hints to rack up points. A key strategy is to use rapid fire, especially when enemies are down and vulnerable to a chasing attack. Headshots are worth a good chunk of points, and even body shots on falling enemies add up. The guide recommends destroying everything breakable in the environment, like boxes and streetlights, as they each give you points. Collecting items is crucial for a high score, and the page lists various item point values, from coins to golden frogs and life power-ups. Beware of point deductions though. Hitting civilians, failing to rescue them, shooting poison mushrooms, and even taking damage from enemies or bosses can hurt your score. Accuracy is also vital, as a higher hit rate translates directly to bonus points. The page even hints at a command to display your score during gameplay, which is useful for score attack runs. Finally, it sets out target scores to aim for on each stage based on your skill level, from average players to score-focused players and daredevils. This is a preview of Binchan's version 99 1-point advice volume 2, a guide for Virtua Striker 2 Ver 99, focusing on 6 top-class national teams: Netherlands, France, Colombia, Paraguay, Bulgaria, and Spain. This preview highlights the Netherlands and France. For the Netherlands, the advice centers on speed and wide attacks, recommending players 6 and 8 and formations 343 and 442 DV. For France, the guide emphasizes their strong defense and talent, particularly players 6 and 10, with recommended formations 442 and 451. The 1-point advice section also suggests strategic use of passes, lob and horizontal passes for attack building when struggling, and long passes from the defensive sides to forwards. Screenshots of Netherlands and France gameplay are included, along with a team selection screen showcasing numerous national teams. The next page showcases Virtua Striker 2, a soccer game, and provides gameplay strategy tips for different national teams. For Colombia, the focus is on using fast players up front and skilled midfielders, especially player number 10, for short passes and dribbling. Players 7 and 9 are highlighted for speed and dribbling respectively, suggesting utilizing through balls in midfield for scoring opportunities. Paraguay emphasizes team cohesion and ball control. Their strategy revolves around keeping possession and solid defense. For attacking, they suggest quick, direct passes through midfield, but note a slight weakness in scoring ability due to a lack of strong forwards. They recommend focusing on midfielders, players 2 and 10, for scoring chances. Bulgaria is described as having slower overall speed, implying patience is key. However, they possess strong decision-making and good average player abilities. The advice is to build attacks through passing and exploit open spaces, focusing on connecting with the number 8 player up front who has high scoring potential. Spain boasts strong defense and a solid midfield. Their attacking strategy starts with player number 10 in midfield who spreads play wide. They suggest passing to player number 3 on the flanks and then aiming crosses towards strong forwards in the box. For defense, they advise a deep defensive line and focusing on defending centrally. Screenshots show in-game action for each team. This page is an advertisement for SB Comics' new releases for March. The first comic is Epoxy, There Is No Heresy in the Otaku Path, by Motu Koyama. This is described as a new sensation comic that fills the otaku taste, featuring an 18-plus forbidden girl figure in a gag comic. Next is Dead End by Orca. It is described as a SF manga's masterpiece, a non-stop action comic. The story involves a meteorite that fell 20 years ago, and alien genetic information leading to human experiments. The third comic is Melancholia, This Delusion I Will Crush, written by Murasaki Hyakuro, and illustrated by Milk Morizono. This is described as an electric wave comic, a definitive edition. The story is about delusions, stalkers, and the spiritual world. Finally, Vietnam War, Reality That Exceeds Movies by Motofumi Kobayashi is advertised as a Vietnam War comic anthology. It aims to show the entirety of the Vietnam War and is described as a realistic portrayal with abundant materials. The weekly Dreamcastrology horoscope for March 5th to 11th offers fortune predictions for all zodiac signs. Aries should focus on orangered and the sky. Taurus, coral pink, 100 yen items and dusting. Gemini, emerald green, communication and finances. Cancer, coffee, body towels and opposite colors. Leo, brown, beliefs and foam. Virgo, amethyst stones and their own pace. Libra, indigo, silk socks and reconfirming. Scorpio, hats, walking and watercolors. Sagittarius, white, workplaces and theme parks. Capricorn, pink, scarves / neckties and rhythm. Aquarius, metallic luster, wristwatches and weather. Pisces, yellow, thick items and decisive speech. Each sign provides gender-specific interpretations. This page advertises reader prizes from Dreamcast Magazine. There are 4 prize categories. Dreamcast software of your choice for 20 people, a Sakura Wars 2 figure set for 5 people provided by Sega, Capcom Generation 5 Fighting Game Masters software for 3 people provided by Capcom, and a Kiss Yori clear file for 3 people provided by Kid. The page also features new Dreamcast game information, including Frame Grind, Shenmue, which was previously known as Project Berkeley, The House of the Dead 2, Psychic Force 2012, Power Stone, Sonic Adventure, Dead or Alive 2, and a mysterious Naomi Rumble, Naomi's Seal, which is likely related to the Naomi arcade system. Furthermore, there is a section for new arrival information, showcasing games like Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2, Racing Simulation 2, which seems to be the same game as Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2 listed again, a racing game described as Super Speed Racing Northbound, White Illumination, that sounds like a winter-themed racing game, EGG Evolution GG, Blue Stinger, Marionette Handler, which is known internationally as Heavy Metal Geomatrix, and Crazy Taxi. Finally, the bottom of the page advertises the next issue of Dreamcast Magazine, Volume 11 Preview Issue, which will be on sale March 12th and will cover the Tokyo Game Show. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2. It highlights the game's release date of March 11th and a price of 5,800 yen. The ad showcases screenshots of the racing simulation, emphasizing features like the Monaco City Circuit, an arcade mode, a simulation mode, and retro car options. Sponsor logos for Bridgestone, Castrol, and Tag Heuer are displayed at the bottom, with UBI Soft as the publisher. This page is an advertisement for the Dungeons & Dragons collection for Sega Saturn. It features the arcade classics Tower of Doom and Shadows over Mystara, which are combined in this collection. The advert highlights that it's now on sale as a collection for 5,800 yen, or 7,800 yen, with an additional 4 MB RAM cartridge. Screenshots of both games are shown, showcasing the classic side-scrolling beat-em-up action with fantasy characters and monsters, including a dragon boss fight scene from Shadows over Mystara. The advertisement also mentions it requires a 4 MB RAM cartridge to play, suggesting enhanced gameplay and graphics for the Saturn. It also mentions the Tokyo Game Show '99 Spring event, indicating the time period of the advert.